While America took her stand in World War II, one particular group of aviators fought bravely and flew with distinction. They were known as the Tuskegee Airmen, and they were the first African-American pilots to fly in the history of the United States military. To stand out among their allies and enemies alike, they painted the tails of their P-51 Mustangs bright red, and from that point on, they would become known as the Red Tails.
Oh, man, that was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm
Can you?
sorry. I'm sorry about Biggie. He hears something outside.
Yeah.
How you doing?
All right. How you doing, man?
I, I'm.
It was awesome. What do you think about the intro?
I liked it. I liked it. I couldn't. Biggie, stop, please, sir. I really liked it. It gave me goosebumps, but it also gave me a churning feeling because it's really sad that we have melanated people out here fighting for a country that don't really give a shit about us
Right.
with all the racism that we have today, and
Mm.
we're out here putting our lives on the line, and you come back home and they just give you your ass to kiss. But it's so necessary. You know, sometimes the military saves people
Oh
from the
yeah.
streets. It saves them, you know, from getting a job, getting your first down payment for a house, getting your
Education.
education.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're signing up. And today, and I know this is the next question you're going to ask me, so I might as well just take it all. Today is a somber day. I don't really think that we should be celebrating with barbecue and hamburgers and hot dogs because you got a lot of family members that lost people and they're not in the mood to celebrate like that. I think it should be a day of somber, a day of meditation and prayer and gratitude. What is there
Yeah.
to celebrate? That our
Well,
personnel, you know, I
go ahead.
get it. It's a day to dedicate members of our U.S. military who has given the ultimate sacrifice. The ultimate sacrifice. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be in a celebratory mood for that. If I had a son and he passed away, I'm not celebrating that. I would be at his cemetery and I'd be at the church. You
No,
know.
that's fair. Listen, that's fair because people are going to feel and grieve the way they want. But I mean, just like you, I mean, let's not say about sons and daughters because none of us as parents would like to see our kids go before us. But just in general, when you go to a funeral for a family member, where the rest of the family come, it always turns into a celebration of a life,
Y-
especially well spent. You know what I'm saying?
And
I mean,
and you're right.
and
Y-
so
You're
you could do both, right? You could commemorate the person and mourn their loss, but also celebrate, especially if they had a great life. Now, for our soldiers who gave in the ultimate prize and the ultimate deal for our country, and especially black ones back in the day, we're a country that hated their guts. I can't see no greater sacrifice. All my uncles and my father, my uncles and my cousins, they all were veterans. Now, thank God they all came home. But one of my uncles was definitely a casualty of war. When he got home, he never was right from the Korean War. So it's not he didn't die, but his life he was pretty much lifeless for his whole adult thing. And I didn't know what he did until I read his obituary at his funeral around 20 years ago. And I couldn't believe it. I said, wow, shit, this is my uncle. I thought he was a loser all this time. It was like a war hero. Yeah,
I
so I
hear
didn't know
you.
none of that stuff. And so I thought about that because we're on Memorial Day, but so I mean that was a great intro. I thought that
I
yeah,
loved it. I loved it, and the fact that it showed
yeah,
black history of the military that matters. and
yeah.
and and, and you're absolutely right. The fact that I think we do it opposite sometimes. We need to cry when somebody's born and we need to celebrate when somebody dies because you know when you're born you're being born into a fucked up world. You know, but when you die you go into the next level of
Hmm.
peace and heaven, and you know, according to what you believe in and what you think the case may be, you know.
Right,
But
right.
it
I
was
agree.
awesome, and I'm glad that Black Man Unfiltered did that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I know. All right. So why are we here, Grace? We're here. What are we here to teach people today?
Well, since we always talk about that, you know, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
Okay.
But in the world that we live in today, there are not many people walking around wifey material or husband material.
Exactly.
But let's find out the why. And I think that a lot of people just haven't seen what it is to be a wife or a husband, don't know what it is to be a wife and a husband. So today, you and me are going to talk about and embrace gender roles. I
Right.
mean, it worked for many, many, many years. It's still biblical. I know you and I are of age, and we are both traditionalists with a little twist of modern. But if it was working back then, why can't we go back to the old school and see if we can fix things and teach people and educate and advise them what exactly is gender roles?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I would think that that's true. And, some of these things I think are timeless. And that's one of the things I think the modern people have trouble with because they said, because we're in 2024, you know, everything that was true in the past is not true now because of social media, because the way we live, because of this and that. And there is some truth to that, but not necessarily without basic nature. I believe that regardless of the time we're in, we still we still have to operate within our natural uh, uh, way we were born. Our natural, I don't want to use the word construct, but I'm talking about a natural, our basic natural ability, the way
Our
we are.
blueprint.
Yeah, a
Maybe
blueprint.
that's a better word.
That's
We've
it.
been given a blueprint. This is our job description as women, and this is your job description as men, even though it has changed. And we'll get into that a little bit further
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's interchangeable now due to the world that we live in. But at the end of the day, it's a foundation that you lay to get it started.
right. And it's the way we deal with those modicums of changes, those changes that we have to adjust to without acting like we're living outside of our basic nature. Like for example, there is a nurturing role for a man, for example, when you have kids, but not when they needed to be suckled, right? That's for a woman to do, right? Especially when they're a certain age, women they need their mothers a little bit more. But that doesn't mean as part of a man's one of his four P's in procreation that he shouldn't be involved. Like I was involved with my kids when young because I especially at the very young age, I did a couple of things. One, I never let anybody talk to my kids like baby talk when they were like just babies. I said, just talk to her like you would talk to anybody else, even though they didn't understand. But no goo goo gaga shit, right? So and what they have to do with gender roles, I just wanted them to grow up understanding that even though they're little people, they're gonna have to live in a bigger world, right? I did a
Absolutely.
couple other things like that. Like in our house, we never changed one thing. We played music. We never lowered the music for the kids when they had to go to sleep. We made them adapt to the ambiance of the house instead of the other way around. The ambient way the house ran, we made our kids adopt to that. So there were some things I was trying to get them to just kind of just weave into just being human beings and how women behave. I only have girls, so I read books on how to deal with little girls. I didn't have any sons, so so I understood there was some nature about little girls that I'm still living with today. I'm still living with my
Absolutely.
daughters today, man. Sometimes when I'm talking to them, I'm on pins and needles. Oh, because they can go to 0 to 60 if you hurt their
Real
feelings.
quick.
So anyway, go ahead. What else we got? Oh,
Um,
yeah,
I think it's a good thing that we're doing this show because a lot of times us YouTube content creators we're always talking about the problems. I some people want to hear solutions. Some people want to be educated, and that's what we do. Yeah, we have a lot of fun and we go back and forth, but at the end of the day, our main goal is to help people become better versions of themselves. You
hmm
want the kind of man that you want, then you need to do certain things to get that kind of man that you want. You want the kind of woman that you want a wifey material, you're not going to find the wife at the strip club.
no.
So there are things that maybe these young kids and even older people may not know or realize, but we're here to give it to them. And we're here to let people know to know your damn place sometimes.
So let me ask you: any more people in the chat? I haven't really seen on the chat. I know I see Reckless Ray. How you doing, Reckless?
We got Milani. We got beautiful Milani here.
All right. I
We
didn't see
got
him.
Travel One. She's
All right.
always coming around, and then
Uh,
I'm checking my
and this is
chat. Anissa's here. How you doing, my dear? We got salute to intellectual soapbox, and Randy, my number one moderator in the world. She was here, so we got some people here listening and wanting to see what's going on. So I hear you got a couple videos for us to watch.
before we get to the video, why don't we let me just read out this basic definition of what a gender role is.
Okay,
It's not,
I got mine too, boss. I
all
got
right,
mine too.
so if you want to read mine, is real short, so I'll read it. Okay, gender roles are the social and cultural expectations of how people should behave according to their biological sex and corresponding gender. These roles shape the behaviors, attitudes, and responsibilities considered appropriate for both men and women. That's that, you can find all kinds of, if you find a modern definition, they'll take out gender and sex and all that. But this was the definition I went with. I like this one. But go ahead.
I got you. So here's my definition. Gender roles: the role or behavior considered to be appropriate to a particular gender as determined by prevailing cultural norms. Gender roles in a society means how we're expected to act, speak, dress, groom, and conduct ourselves based on your assigned sex. For example, traditionally, women are seen as caregivers, nurturers, housemakers, and a helpmate, whereas men, gender roles revolve around characteristics such as dominance, assertiveness, and strength. Traditionally, men's gender roles include providing, leading, and protecting. So I know you and I are going to dissect that, and we're going to talk about that. And I would really, really love for the chat to put in their perspectives, because people need to see different perspectives. I may be wrong on certain things, but I may be right on other things, and vice versa, Mr. Payne, because the fact still remains is there a biblical and what God expects of us? Absolutely. Is everybody going to follow that?
Absolutely
They're not.
Absolutely
But there
not.
is a basic blueprint and foundation that we can get started to, at least to try to understand gender roles.
I agree. So with that, we can go ahead to clip number 1 and hear what a man has to say in a really short clip of how he views gender roles.
Traditional gender roles are being questioned. I think it's also good at the same time to not throw the baby out with the bathwater, and to know that there are some traditional things that are there and actually healthy. For example, a woman who's like, well, I don't do anything with cooking, anything with food. I would really ask you maybe just to reconsider that position. I mean, I know that he can do it, but let me just say from a man's perspective, I'm a very simple creature. I always say that I just need sex and a sandwich. If I have sex and I have a sandwich, my life is going to be pretty good. I'm not saying without God, but what I'm saying is that I've made it just that simple. If I can have a plate of food after a long day, it doesn't have to be a gourmet meal, but I just know that I'm going to get fed, and I can know that I have consistent sex with my wife. And that's a whole nother topic that we get into, because sex is not something that should just be enjoyable to me. It should be enjoyable to you as well. I should want it just like you should want it. I don't need you just to meet my needs. I'm going into sex to meet your needs, and hopefully you're coming in it to meet my needs. And through the physical form of sex, of course, intimacy is the most important thing. That's another podcast for another day. But I just think there's something about a woman who might be listening who has done nothing. The kids might get up hungry, and it's like, hungry, you go fix yourself some food. The dude come home and there's just nothing. The refrigerator's bare. And I understand if you're in a season where money is short, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where she doesn't have a care for the food. And I just think that's important, that Proverbs woman, she at least cared about her family being fed.
Yeah. Well, what do you think?
I agree with him. I mean, that's a basic need. I mean, doesn't the woman have to eat too? So if you gotta eat and the kids gotta eat, what is the big deal about you cooking a meal? And I don't want to hear the excuse, well, I don't know how to cook. Like my beloved Kevin Samuels say, well, get your damn cookbook. With all these YouTube videos and TikTok videos, there is no excuse. And I agree with him. If a man is working all day and you've been home all day, the least that you can do is have a meal for him.
So
And
I
men
got one.
appreciate effort, even if it don't taste good, and even if you burnt it a little bit, even if it's under seasoned, at least you tried. But some women look at it as slavery. I'm not cooking for him. He could get his own damn food. I'm like, really? How are you supposed to maintain? You want that man to go out every day, go make money to pay the bills, but you got to nourish that body. You got to keep it healthy so he can make sure he don't get sick and he can continue to go to work and pay those bills. I mean, maybe if you turn it around that way and turn it into a money thing, girl, if you don't feed your man, he ain't gonna, he ain't gonna be able to go out there and get his money. I mean, really, the kids got to eat too.
Grace, I got one for you though, right? So because I think you'll be better to answer this than me.
Okay.
What's more realistic today is that both people in a relationship are going to have to work. That's more realistic for the average person, average man. For the couple,
it is.
for the married people we do have who are married, most likely everybody's working. Some level, maybe the guy makes a little bit more. Doesn't matter who makes more, but you're both spending you have average 40 hours a week out of the house. Okay. Now, some of the problem I think is, should it be a man's expectation that all those 5 days a week that, the wife comes home and she's just as tired as he is, that she should be on the hook to make the food, or is there some compromise that has to happen there?
There has to be some compromise. And can you put the comment that L. Roger put up, BMW, because I want to address that one.
Yeah,
I would appreciate
BMW.
L. Roger. I'm sorry. He said
BMW. So he wish he was a BMW.
Oh shit! Did I say that? BMW. Wow, that's funny. My bad. Let me answer your question and then I'll address that comment. Absolutely. You and me are up here just giving a generalization of what was the blueprint of gender roles. But of course, feminism changed all that. The fact that women work all day. So absolutely, there should be a compromise, because I work 10-hour shifts and I'm not going to feel like cooking every night and things like that. So let me give you an example how me and my ex-husband used to do it. We would compare. My schedule always fluctuated because I was a manager and I controlled my schedule. My ex-husband his schedule was his schedule. So we would actually sit down on Sunday nights, come up with a menu for the week, and determine who's going to cook what, who's going to do what. I'm like, look, I get off at 5:00. I'll season the meat the night before, you grill it, and I'll come home and do the sides. So it takes teamwork. Nowadays, yes, we have gender roles, but we also have women working nowadays. So it must be customized to the marriage. And that's what let me go ahead and read the comment. Grace, I watched you the other panel where you said marriage should be custom made and cheating is not cheating, adultery, if both agree to do it. How then gender roles versus what people agree to? Okay, again, gender roles is the biblical blueprint and what it lays the foundation. But life is different now, Kroger. Things have changed. So it has to we have to be mindful of that in the household, because things have changed. Men nowadays cook better than women. I love it when I meet a man and he tells me he knows how to cook. But when I hear him say, I love to cook, oh my, I'm already there. You got 25% of my heart already, because I'm like y'all men. The weight of my heart is through my stomach.
Let me take a stab at that question too, because I think it's a fair question. And listen, I don't consider cooking and cleaning in a house a natural gender role, right? Because in a balanced household, and people really think this is some kind of newfangled shit. In a balanced household, everybody did a little bit. Women might have more of the cooking. She might do certain chores, like maybe wash more of the dishes and shit like that. But then having of dishwashers and all that kind of stuff, you basically, like you said, you have to plan out how you're going to keep your house up. Like I have man cave, I have an office. I don't ask my wife to clean that shit because I clean that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I want to say, so it's like you said, that the best part of what you said is that, but it's like a negotiation. It's like everybody's relationship is unique, but there are some gender roles you can't fool around with. And I think for a man, I know there's a guy going around YouTube talking about, house husbands and being house husbands and shit like that. I just think that there's some roles in a household, and this is one we don't have to get bogged down in this, but the leadership of your family as a man, you cannot acquiesce that. You cannot relieve yourself of that and put it on your woman, your wife. I don't care how corporate she is. I don't care how educated she is. You could do it, but at your own peril. So no matter what other kind of negotiation you have in your household about how you cook, how you clean, how who takes the kids to school. I took my kids to all the lessons and all that kind of stuff. She didn't have to do that. I did a lot of that because that was my bonding time with my girls. But I never even put on the table like, okay, now you lead and I'll follow you, right? If you have something to say that makes sense that I'm doing wrong, let me know. But I think that part of it is not for negotiation. And there's some actual natural reasons why a man should always be the leader of a marriage, because it's not for just his benefit or his ego.
Mm-hmm.
It's because a woman doesn't really want to be your leader. I mean, she'll do it, because let me get on
But
power.
sometimes our Payne, you're forced into that position because
that's not what I'm talking about. See, but how does that make you feel? I'm talking about
I don't like it. It's very exhausting. It's very exhausting. I was already a leader at work.
There you go.
I'm a boss on the coach. I was a basketball coach. I wanted to come home and just relax and not have to do any thinking. But it didn't pan out a lot of times for me in that way because
what was the result? What was the result?
We're not together anymore.
See, that's what I mean. I mean, I'm not saying a woman shouldn't lead if everything is falling apart, but if you have to, that's to the detriment of your relationship. I think that's what I believe. Anyway, but that's what I'm saying. So that was a good question that he put up there. So that first video was good. I like what the guy said because men are simple creatures. We are. I mean, we I don't know, maybe the newfangled guys are a little bit more complicated than we used to be. You feed us, you give us a little love in here and there. Just give us respect for the most part. Don't turn into a hyena when I'm not around. And definitely don't embarrass me and all that kind of just simple shit, But it's not just, but I don't know how both men don't know how to accept what their roles are now. And women rebel against what their roles are because they always think it's less than. A lot of women do. Because if it's something that seems like it's a female role, they look at it as less than, and it makes them weak. And that's not really true. I think a woman's strength is in her role. That's the strength, not the weakness. But we all get into all that. So what else you got? Or do you want to get to the second video?
Well, I wanna address. If you know this about me, Payne, I interact with the chat, with the comments and stuff. It makes good. And Anissa said, "Well, you picked wrong if that happens," and I would agree with you, Anissa. But a lot of times, people do that bait and switch on you. They act one way at the beginning, and maybe the first couple years of a marriage, and then they switch on you. And at the end of the day, I'll take accountability that I picked wrong, because in the heart of hearts, I kind of knew he wasn't the one for me. But I still married him anyway. I have love for him? Absolutely. But I got pregnant, and it was very important to me that I marry my son's father. My son deserved a mother and a father, so I sacrificed myself and my happiness for the betterment of the family unit. because that's all I know growing up. That's all I knew. And there was nothing else that anybody can tell me. I was like a horse with sliders. I'm going to marry him and we're going to make it work. And it lasted, it lasted for 13 years. So there was something there. There was something there. He was my high school sweetheart. We dated in high school. We dated in college, but we were just two different people at the time that we got together. But shit happened, but I made it right. I rectified it. I required marriage from him, and I'm not here to say that I'm a saint and I did everything right, but I did clean it up. He was our son was the ring bearer at our wedding. He was 4 years old. We would have got married sooner, but under certain circumstances, and it worked out and it panned out for 12 years. And I don't regret it. It is what it is. I learned from it. And now I will be the better wife when God blesses me with a second husband. And that's all I have to say. But you're absolutely right, Anissa. I would take accountability that I picked wrong. But I had to do what I had to do to make things right for my son and in God's eyes.
That's a good answer to that. Because like I said, everybody, you hope you pick right. I think it's bad for both women to say yes to the wrong guy and man to ask a woman to marry him. That's the wrong woman. I think it's bad on both ends. But I always blame the man a little bit more for marrying somebody he's not compatible with, or somebody whose red flags were easily seen. But you know what? I think that here's another thing. I just want to kind of shift before we see the sex video, this next video. The Crimson Cure has her 4 Ps that everybody keeps talking about. And she's made it kind of popular in these YouTube streets. And they fit because I think they inform how a man should be part of his leadership within his nature, right? So your provision, right? Let's just talk about that for a little bit. It's not just financial. It's not. It's your provision is also planning and execution, right? It's also building the tracks for your family to run on and making sure that you're always going in the right direction. That's providing stability, just providing leadership, providing things that that leads you into the future for your family. So it's not just money. And here's why it's important not to say just money, because again, the fact that women have inculcated themselves into the workforce, into significant roles where they make a lot of money, right? The man who agrees to pay all the bills while his woman just stacks money and does what the hell she wants with it, he's an absolute idiot. No man should ever agree to some shit like that. If you're gonna be my wife, you make $100 grand, I make $100 grand, or whatever we make. It has to go into a pot that's beneficial for us executing our plan as a family. And if you got a woman who's not willing to do that because she wants you to be traditional, but she doesn't want to because her money is her money, if you ever, guys out there, hear me good. If you're talking to any woman who says her money is her money and your money is her money, if you marry her,
throw her out.
Goddamn
She's
fool.
For the streets. She's
That's
selfish.
Don't ever do that, because you can't change her mind. Because that's her mindset. Because even if she could say it, it means if she absolutely excludes herself from marriage. She's not marriageable. And you'll be a fool. And men will marry a woman like that because he says, as long as I can take, no, you can't do that. So anyway, the other thing is there's protection. Again, in modern times, that protection of I'm gonna beat up everybody who says something wrong to you. We're not back in the Wild West. So protection takes on different forms, right? Anticipation of danger, avoiding danger, putting yourselves in positions where are safe for you and your family. That's a protection mechanism. Yeah, every man out there, every man out there who has a household, I believe you have to have a gun and know how to use it.
Absolutely.
I believe, I don't know how you could have a house, because especially you get at my age, I ain't fighting nobody, man. Shit.
I know that's right.
I don't feel like fighting anybody. So that's just one thing. So problem solving, again, we have to have a solution-oriented mindset as men, right? Here's another thing. Here's one thing. I'm going to say this, Grace. I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
One of the things I had to learn with women, when they have a problem, sometimes you got to understand they just want to vent, and sometimes they want a solution. And you got to know the difference. Because we're going to automatically try to solve a problem. But I've learned early, I said, listen, I don't want you to solve my problem. I just want you to sit down here and take the pain of me yabbing at you, so I can get it off my chest. And then I understood. Everybody doesn't want you to solve their problem. They just want to vent. But go ahead.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of provision that my husband instilled in me. When I had our son, that was the first time I ever been pregnant. That was the first time I ever had a child. So I was learning a lot of things along the way. I read a lot of books. I mean, I did a lot to try to make sure I was the best mother possible. I wasn't around a lot of babies. I didn't babysit when I was a kid because, in our family, we didn't believe that. Family took care of the babies. So he told me there's a rule. I don't want my son out past 8:30 at night. There's no child that young has any business being out past 8:30. I want him to be showered. I want him to be bathed, fed, and in his what he called chill mode by 8:30. Because his bedtime was, he wouldn't even make it to 9 o'clock. But at first I didn't understand it. And he'll try to explain to me, there's nothing good after 8:30. Most accidents happen at night. You women don't have respect for time and will do things and don't consider that they're little people and they need to get rest and they need to be at home and feel safe and secure. And at the time, for the first couple of months that I gave birth, he was still an over-the-road truck driver, but we decided that he was going to get off the road. I'm not doing this by myself. I didn't make him by myself. You're going to help me take care of him. But the first couple, and you know what, Mr. Payne, he will call to check, check up on me if I'm doing what he asked me to do. And I really understood it, because now when I go out and I see these young kids and the young babies out at Walmart or the grocery store at 10, 11 o'clock at night, they need to be home in their bed, sleep. And and that's a perfect example of protection. Not only was he protecting the mother of the child, me being out there at 11:30 at night on the road, but he was protecting his son. And I really respect him for that. I really do. And it especially happened at one time when his ex-wife had his child. They had a son together too. And she got into a bad car accident, and it was 11:30 at night. And she was coming home from her mother's house, and he begged her to stay at the house and just sleep there and wake up in the morning and just go there in the morning. And she refused to listen to him. And when that happened, it was like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, wow. I told this story just to give people an example of ways that men protect when we don't think that they're protecting us. That we think that we interpret it as being controlling or being a jerk. And that's not it. When a man tells you, baby, don't wear that, he knows men, because he's a man. He knows men are going to come on to you. It's going to cause problems. It's going to put him in hostile environment. And like you said, you guys anticipate danger much, much sooner than a woman would, because you guys are always on high alert. You're wired that way. You are wired to be on high alert. You are wired to protect. We're not. We're so oblivious sometimes that we don't know what the hell. We don't know, honestly. But I also thank God that my dad taught me, like when I go on a first date, Mr. Payne, I always look to see if the man sits looking towards the door. That lets me know if he's going to be a good protector or not. I always see if the man will walk outside of the street. I look for things like that. Why? Because my father taught me, if he's really into you and he's willing to give his life for you, then he's into you. And if the man doesn't do that, then what kind of protector is he going to be? Like me and my ex, we carried, but he made sure that we would go to the gun range. He would make sure that I was taught how to break down the gun and clean it. Because what's the use of owning a weapon if you don't know how to use it or you don't know how to clean it, because you're supposed to clean it? so it won't jam on you. So I mean, he was in charge of that, but he made it a point to teach me. So if God forbid when he wasn't home, I know what to do.
Right,
and I'm just saying all this, guys, to let people know ways of how men really protect us, but we don't see it because we're so stuck up on our ass that, oh, he's trying to control me, he's trying to take over my life. It's not even like that, ladies. It's not.
So
Let the man be the man.
Yeah, let me give my one example. I have an example just like you, because my daughters are grown now, but one lives with me and one doesn't. So my oldest daughter, she's 30 in her early 30s, and she wanted to go. She went to Switzerland to a wedding with a friend of hers. Right? I told her, listen, what you need to do for me before you go, tell me what flight you're on, going and coming back, and where you're staying. Right? So she was staying at a couple of different hotels and all that. I said, just let me know where it's at, you know. And I had to get them to understand, I'm not telling you that you got to, you know, you're asking me for permission. I just need to know where you are.
So
right?
you're safe if God forbid something happens.
And I know. So listen, if you guys were married, I probably wouldn't be asking, because your husband should be taking care of that. If I ever asked him where you're at and he doesn't know, I'd rip him a new one. Right. And then my youngest daughter, you know, she still lives with me. So she has friends, but when she leaves, I know where she's going. And if it's later in the night, she'll get an Uber home or she'll drive home. Yeah, she doesn't drink and drive and none of that. But she always lets me know when she's on her way home. Always. And it's automatic now, right? Because she knows that I can't sleep if she's not in the house. Right? Because I'm not going to go to sleep until, you know, because our bell rings when you open the door. So if she's in the house or not in the house, I want to know when I hear that ring, it's her coming home. Because if it's not, then I have a different problem. You know, so
absolutely.
So I mean, so you know, that's just the way it is, and that's just a part of the natural stuff. And when women fight that in general, getting back to general, they're doing themselves a disservice, right? Because I don't understand women who want to be uncovered when they don't have to be, right? Especially, you know, so, you know, I mean, if you're not in a serious relationship, not even serious, if you're not married, I can see women saying, if this guy's just my boyfriend, I don't need to tell him where I'm at.
Oh, but you don't need to tell them where you are, but you're good enough to exchange bodily fluids.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You don't want to tell your man where you're going, but it's okay for him to pay all your bills. I mean, come on. It's asinine to me. It really is. Like when I take an Uber and if I'm dating somebody, I'll share my location so he knows I'm in an Uber, what's going on, so I know that somebody's safe. Like, for example, with my dad, my curfew was midnight. He didn't care what I was doing, where I was going. If I left the house at 11:15, I still had to be home at midnight. And just like you, he would wait up at 11:30, this is about to tell my age, but he would page me. And he used to love James Bond. And all he would do is put the only thing he would do is put 007. You know what that code meant? Whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, wherever you at, you got 30 minutes to get home. And he would wait at the kitchen table for me, watching his Vanna White and his show, smoking his cigarette. And as soon as I walk in the door, he would always have food for me in the microwave, and we would sit down, talk. How was your night? What did you do? And then he would get up and he's like, now I can go to sleep. And I missed curfew one time in my whole 4-year career of high school. And it wasn't even my fault. It was a friend's fault. And my mom covered for me. Thank God. God bless. But he did not play. I mean, I thought my dad was very controlling at the same time, but he used to tell me, ain't nothing open but legs after 2, and I'll be damned if they're yours. I mean, he had me. Oh, and if I was ever 5 minutes late, I had to give him the phone numbers of all my friends, and he started calling my friends' parents. He did. I mean, see, that's just it. Kids don't fear their parents nowadays. So in turn, when you don't learn the respect and boundaries, you have grown-ups that don't know how to respect boundaries and respect each other.
But Grace, I got one for you. It's just switching gears before we see the next video, right? I have one for you that's a pet peeve of mine, but it's on the man's side.
Okay. Did you freeze on me? He sure did, ladies and gentlemen.
It'll come back because you still was able to hear me. I think this one, I think the men, and men don't disagree with me on this one, but I don't. I've seen too many women get hurt by this. And it depends on her age. If you're a woman over 25, you can't afford to be in a relationship with a guy for more than a couple of years if he's not intentional. You know, you're wasting your biological clock because if the guy's getting all the milk, the honey, and the juice and shit, he ain't, if he didn't make up his mind to put a ring on your finger, it's not always because you have too many red flags. And if he's willing to take the red flags while in that mode, that's one thing. But if you're a marriageable woman, a guy will waste your time, especially the older you are. If you're 30 years old, you can't afford to be in a 5-year relationship. That's crazy. You know, if he's going to, especially if you're marriage minded, kid minded, and all that kind of shit, you can't be wasting time because a man will waste your time. And not to say he won't love you and all that shit, but if he don't have to marry you, he's not. And I'm not saying giving an ultimatum. Most men make up their mind that they want to keep a woman pretty quick, fast, and in a hurry. I'm not letting this one get away. It might be a year, it might be a year and a half, but if he wants you as a wife, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter about all that bullshit. He's going to ask you. You know,
I agree.
I agree. You know, all the sweet nothings and shit in your ear and all that kind of stuff, that shit has a time limit. And if you don't let him waste your time, if you're 22 years old, yeah, you could maybe, you know, throw away 3 years or so. But at 28,
that biological clock is ticking, and it gets louder and louder every year.
Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there just to say this is not one-sided because men have some ways that they weigh on women. But are we ready for the second video?
Provider roles are an ideal in marriage. This is controversial because our society today says there's no gender roles. There shouldn't be gender roles. Gender roles are a construct. And yeah, in that language, the idea of a gender role, I think is a very modern concept. I would prefer to just say, if you're a mother, you have a certain responsibility. If you're a father, you have a certain responsibility. So I think that's a little better than saying if you're a woman, then you have a certain role to play. Well, it has to do with more specificity about your being a woman. If you are a mother specifically, yes, you have a role to play. So that's where gender roles is a little wonky because not all women are mothers, and it doesn't really get the specificity that I think this topic needs and deserves. So in a marriage where you have children, nurture provider roles are very valuable. What do I mean by that? Nurture and provide. Both parents do both. Fathers should nurture their kids. Mothers should provide. But specifically for mothers of young children, the mother being available for that child and being there to nurture that child and being free to do that and not have to leave to go work outside the home is an ideal that we should fight for as a society. So women can be there with their young children. And for her to be able to do that, it is ideal if she is married to the father of her children who is empowered to go out and provide for his family so that she's able to be there with her kids in the home. I do think that is an ideal. Now, that doesn't mean she doesn't do any work outside the home. That doesn't mean the husband is then a workaholic who's not present to his family and kids and puts his work, always says work comes first because I'm providing for you, so I'm always put work first. No, like that is an excuse, by the way, some men use. It's they excuse their workaholism by saying, I'm doing it for you. Actually, what they want from you more than your money is your presence. And money is necessary for the necessities, but it's not necessary beyond that. Don't forget that, right? So we could do a whole episode on that. But I do think nurture provider roles are important and are an ideal in marriage. And as a society, we should value mothers more and their unique role of being the mother of young children. Remember, only women can gestate, only women can lactate, only women can mother their very young children in the way that they're biologically and emotionally designed to. And then finally,
hey, listen, let me just start out real quick. And the reason why I picked this video is because I like what she had to say, but also because she was a white woman. And one of the things I think we need to get used to as Black people is that we are part of the society, and the shit that plagues our community is not unique. It might be exacerbated, it might be exaggerated, but we're just Americans, just like everybody else, and we go through the same shit everybody else. We're not alone on some island with some specific problems like this in relationships that nobody else has. So what she just said could apply to us as it would apply to anybody else. And so I wanted to, so I don't like to just put black faces in front of us, you know, and I was going to say that anyway, Grace, but that was one of the things I'd like to do, because I'd like to make sure that we understand we're a part of a bigger community other than just our own, you know, and we impact the rest of the country and they impact us one way or the other. And we have a lot of stuff in common, especially when it comes to marriage, relationships, how we deal with each other and stuff like that. So I thought what she had to say was poignant. And I like the fact that she says, you know, men, you can't hide behind the fact that you have to work all the time. Because even if you do, you still have to find time to connect with your children, your wife, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, you just have to find the time to do it. Or you might have to look for another job. You have to do this. Because even though it kind of, some guys as well, she should understand, because if I don't do all this, we're going to fail, right? We're not going to have enough money to do what we have to do. Then the plan is not correct. Either you have to lower your lifestyle or something like that. So you need to be able to fit, and you need to be able to convince her, listen, if you want me to be around, I might have to make $100, $200 less a month, because I got to spend the time to do it. I'll do that for you, but understand, you ain't getting, you know, the subscription that you want. Right?
Well, I got so much to build on that, Mr. Payne. I'm so glad you brought this up, because, and let me give a shout out to Team Fatty, because he cornered a woman on his panel about this.
Oh,
women want the mansion, they want the Mercedes, they want the bags, and they want all of that, right? So then the man goes and works 70 out 80 hours a week to satisfy the woman with all this. But at the end of the day, it's still not good enough, because now we get now y'all get complaints. You're never here. You don't spend enough time with me. You don't help me with the kids. You don't do this. You don't do that. So the fact that you brought this up, how about we start living within our means and stop trying to satisfy the Joneses and trying to live how, you know, if you got beer budgets with champagne taste, you know, maybe you don't need a 5-bedroom house and you buy a 3-bedroom house, and therefore the husband can work a normal 40 to 45 hour week and he can be home more to help your punk ass. But the thing is, a lot of us women are just, I want. And then when the man gives and gives and gives, and let me make a disclaimer. It does go vice versa, you know, but it happens more with the women. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too, ladies. You got to be able to compromise. And I learned that watching my father. I know my father loved me. He loved me through giving me a lot of material possessions, taking me to exotic vacations, making sure I had everything I needed. But the one thing he couldn't give me was time.
Right.
I always remember at my basketball games, he was never at my game. He was never at my game. And I told myself, when I have a kid, I am going to make sure, I don't care how much money I got or what my job requires me, I am going to make sure that I am there for that kid, that I spend time with him. I made it a point on the first year of his life, I didn't work. I positioned myself where I had enough money to not work for the whole year, and I was able to be there for his first everything, first step, first word, you know, first time he used potty, first time. I mean, that to me matters. That matters to kids. And then I didn't want to have another one, because you know what? Now that my financial situation changed, and I had to convince my doctor to tie my tubes, and he wouldn't do it. I had to fight him for 2 years. And he was like, Doc, I am not going to have another kid, give 1/3 of my paycheck to some daycare, and then for her to send me videos of the baby taking his first step. No, I'm not going to do it. I'll just wait for the grandbabies. And that's how I handled that situation. If people would take more heed to the importance of presence as parents than giving a child materialistic things, we would be in a better position, because you create memories with your children. And you don't remember all the Jordans that your parents gave you, because every 2 weeks you want another pair and you want another pair.
Oh, yeah.
But kids remember when you take them out to the beach, when you go on a picnic, when you take them on vacation, because memories. But we don't live in that world today, Payne. Everything is about materialistic possessions.
Yeah, but see, okay, but what you said though, that's true. But that's one of the things that's wrong, right? Because what you just said is timeless. It doesn't matter about whether it's in, you're Gen X or baby boom or anything. Your relationship with your children is just as important today as it was back then. And the fact that people are not doing that and they're worrying about themselves, but they're still having kids indiscriminately, that's one of the major issues we have. I remember when I gave my daughter her first guitar at 9 years old, and she took lessons. We never had to chase her, and then she started playing in the band. And I've seen I've not only seen her performances, I went to see her rehearsals. I got videos on my channel about the music that she played with her band, and so if anybody can go to my channel and find those musical interludes. But she's like really gifted, and I went to everything. Then my oldest daughter, she didn't, she wasn't into that. She was into reading a whole lot more. But anyway, so just getting back on subject, some things are timeless, all right.
Absolutely.
And I get a lot of flack for this shit because they say, "Oh, you're old," but I can see it all. If you're gonna have children, the way you interact with your children, the way you teach them, the way they might learn might be updated because of technology. But your time and nurturing with them is a timeless commodity that they actually you should be obligated to give to them, or don't have the kids. That's just the way it is. So anyhow, but that's one thing. So what I was going to ask you: Did you see the Harrison Butker commencement speech at college? You didn't see that, huh?
No, I was at work. I worked all day today.
Yeah. It's too bad we didn't have that video. I didn't put that on there. It was a guy who said he was at a Catholic college, and he did a commencement speech, and he got a lot of flack, and he's still getting flack. This was like 3 weeks ago. He told the women that when you graduate, some of you are going to go on to be CEOs and captains of industry. But then he gave all the flowers he could to women who wanted to have children and be mothers and nurture the kids. He got the hyenas came out, teeth, blood on their teeth. They try to have them canceled. I mean, the worst part is not the women. It's the men who have come out against this guy. And it just kind of tells you how low we have sunk. Because he had a message for men, too, about us being emasculated and all that. But the way the women came after him and their random male orbiters came after him, it's just disgusting. One thing, he never apologized. And my cousin came after me one. I have a female cousin. We go at it all the time. I love her, so we go back and forth. And so she's talking about he's misogynistic, and I said he doesn't hate women, right? So I said to her, you got 3 children, and you're a professional woman, right? So let me ask you a question. You love your children, but are you more excited about another promotion and another directive from your boss, or nurturing your children to adulthood? And she couldn't say shit after that, right? Because the most important thing, I said, so what are you talking about? That's all he said.
At the end of the day, what matters more? What matters more?
So, I mean, that would have been a good video, and we beat that shit to death. But I'm just saying, when guys come out and actually say something profound, they try to get canceled.
They get insulted. They get chopped down. And I know Black David says he wants us to work some of the comments because they're really juicy, Payne. So Black David, go ahead and I got one for Travel One. Go ahead and put up the one for Travel One.
Okay.
Men are to be givers, happy husbands, love giving to their wives, and love to pamper them. If the man wants feminine wife, less stress is best. Okay, Travel One. You know I love you and I respect you a lot, and you're real good at telling men what they're supposed to do. Now let's do the opposite. Tell me what a woman's role is supposed to do for a husband. We are so quick as women to point out what men are supposed to do, but half the women here don't even know what the fuck they're supposed to be doing. Don't worry about the men so much. Worry about you and what you're supposed to be doing as a woman and a wife. We get caught up on what we teach our men how to treat women, but we don't teach women how to treat men. And that is the problem. That is the disconnect. The world does not revolve around you, Travel One. The world does not revolve around women. It really doesn't. Because without men, this world wouldn't be shit.
Hey, Black Dave, leave that up there for a second, please. Because if you put that back, leave Travel One up there, because Grace, you're absolutely right. Because what really is missing from this is that, because I don't disagree that my wife lives a pretty stress-free life, and I really said this on this panel, mostly it's because of me, and I like doing that for her. But in return, what you miss, Travel One, is that she caters to me all the time for that, and out of appreciation and respect
and gratitude.
So if you want all of this stuff, you need to add on the end, and right there, less stress is best. And in return, my dear husband, I'm gonna give you A, B, C, D, E, and F, right? And that's what you women are missing. It's all about what you want, because what you just said here on the surface is not wrong. It's just not complete. It's
exactly.
So you got to be willing to do what the hell do you do for the man that you want, the guy who's your ace, the guy you want to give that you want to give all of these 4 P's to you. What's your equivalent to the 4 P's? What is it? And women need to start figuring out what their 4 P's are for men. It don't have to be P's. It could be S's, whatever the hell it is. It could be R's, with the first one being respect. I think women need to work on that. And that's not a dig. That's something that could be worked on.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, do women wake up in the morning now and help their husbands get up and brew their coffee and make their lunch and cook them breakfast? Do you iron his clothes so he can sleep a little bit longer? What do women do for the men? Y'all think just having sex with him is enough? Men can go get sex anywhere. It's 12-1.
We wish. They wish they could, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I mean, if they don't, the work wife will. We always say that the work wife will, and the work wife can smell it. They can smell. What did BMU said? The most eligible bachelor is the neglected husband.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, come on, lady. We need to take our energy and worry about what our job description is, what we're supposed to be doing as a wife and a woman, and stop worrying and pointing fingers and worrying about what a man is supposed to be doing. Because if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, trust me, 90% of the time, the man will do what he's supposed to be doing. And if he's not, then you picked wrong. And I'll repeat Anissa's words. Yeah. Then you picked wrong.
Reckless Trey has a comment up there, even though I know Trey said he's going to stay single. I believe him. Somebody's going to snare him sooner or later. So Reckless Trey, he talks about, that the women who will never be housewives and are relegated to competing with men for resources got big mad at Buckner for mentioning, that situation in a commencement speech. So, yeah, man. I mean, women just don't want to hear men with standards and putting down a gauntlet saying, listen, you want a man, these are the things you got to do. And it's like kryptonite to women sometimes. So,
I got one more comment, Mr. Payne. L. Koger did a good one. Can you put that comment up? It says, Grace, with all due respect, marriage. He says, Grace, with all due respect, marriage isn't attractive anymore, and not just because of women or men. Most married couples shouldn't even be couples, so the advertisement needs to work. You're absolutely right, but stop having bastard children.
That's right.
How about that? Stop making babies if you're not going to get married, because those kids deserve to have a mother and a father. Those kids deserve to have a family unit. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't have to get married. And I get it. It's going to depopulate this earth. But I would rather have our earth depopulating than an earth full of bastard children, housebroken homes, neglected children. And whereas a woman like me who only has one, but I got to go to work every day and pay taxes to a woman that has 5 or 6 kids that couldn't afford them and thinks it's cute to have kids. You know, by different men and not get married. I think it should be a law.
You know, this look at this.
It's absolutely right. All I see is a bunch of married men with low testosterone. Don't worry, Trey. You're gonna get there. Your testosterone is gonna get low too.
Don't leave out fat married man. You know what? Big F word to him too. You know what I'm saying? But the bottom line is, you know, I had this thought about marriage again. I'm kind of agreeing with people that with so much angst in the relationship marketplace, I don't think a lot of people should get married unless they're really. But I really agree with you about not having babies, because in the absence of, let's call marriage a covenant to some people, and if you're secular, they'll call it a social construct, right? Of people being together under some formal guise of the state. In the absence of that, we're no better, because people are not gonna stop having babies, no matter how much we yell from the rooftop. But in the absence of a family, what's happened to us is like we're having babies like, you know, feral animals in the woods.
It's like giving away candy on Halloween. Women are giving away their wombs like giving away candy on Halloween.
There's no structure. There's nothing that makes it a family other than the burdens you place on your mothers and your grandmothers. And,
yep, you always talk about that.
You know, and that's what that is. And some people are blessed enough to have a loving family, which is dying off, right? Because the baby boomers and the older exes are not going to be able to take care of your kids like they've done for you. And definitely millennials and Gen Zers are not taking care of nobody's goddamn kids.
Yeah, I already told my son that.
So I'm just saying, so that infrastructure is dying off. We know that the government is going to stop giving out these handouts, right? And some of the only alternative is a return to some modicum of, I don't want to say chastity, of withholding yourself, saying no. And if you want to have sex, you got to be careful. You know, and so that's going to happen. It's going to come into that, because right now, just having babies indiscriminately is destroying the fabric of our society, because the kids don't have no structure. And then with feminism, even the women who are having children, and this leads us into the third video. I don't know if you want to see it yet, and you haven't seen it, of what women think men should be, because they're pretty much raising the men by themselves. So they have an idea of what an ideal man should be under their guidance. And if you listen to this next video, and all you guys and gals in the chat, the next video, I think we should play it now. And then you and I can decide if we want some people to come up with that. But let's play this third video, and these 5 sisters at the table, and you guys tell me what you hear, because maybe I'm mishearing. Go ahead.
And I think of how I want him to be as a man. And I mean, I want to allow him freedom to develop into who he is, but there are certain things that I feel like are important.
From the beginning.
He needs to be, you know, a gentleman and be, you know, there's a confident, but, you know, still sensitive to what a woman needs. And then, you know, but still, you know, care about what he needs too. And then I just feel like as a mom, it is my job to ensure that he grows up to be somebody that, you know,
doesn't to the women in his life. Yeah,
precisely. Yeah. And I don't know if you feel that way about Judah, but I think it's important.
I do. And I think it's hard to be the mother of girls as a woman. And I also think that it's challenging to raise feminist boys.
Right.
That is, I think, specifically our job as women to boys, to raise feminist sons.
Yes.
And it's been a complete awakening, I'd say, for, you know, myself, my husband, my family. It's just, you know, the next generation. Like, wow, he can be soft, he can be strong.
Right.
He can be gentle, and he can also be, you know, very masculine. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And when we give boys room to show their full range of emotion, that gives them the ability to be open to the full range of emotion that women show. Because, you know, women are a lot more open with their emotion 9 times out of 10. Absolutely.
Do you feel like you have the support from your partners in that, in raising a feminist son?
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And it does take a little educating other people. I mean, you know, I can't expect other people to treat my son a certain way, you know, if they're the way that they are. But, you know, I do kind of like with our parents, you know, it's okay that he wants to paint his nails. It's cool. He's a boy, you know, like I don't think making him feel like he's doing something wrong by expressing himself or, you know, doing anything that would be perceived as feminine is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Or that, and it also shows them that they can express themselves, period. They don't have to express themselves in this way.
Right.
Like, I see so many little boys, my son's friends, who will maybe have their nails painted or have a flower in their hair or have a pink shirt. And I'm mentioning like intrinsically feminine things that they're into, just to show like boys can have a feminine side and they can also have a masculine side. It's so important for them to be in touch with both. Exactly.
Yes.
And so I was going to say, even in dating, right? Like allowing the space for your partner or person to have a wide range of emotions or like really express themselves, especially nowadays. I don't know. It just seems difficult. I don't know if you dealt with that in dating. Or
I think some people just need to express themselves in all ways, in shape or form. Sexuality, you know, we have this stereotype as if, you know, young women can explore their sexuality, but young men can't.
Exactly.
And then that's perpetuated in relationships where it's like, well, can I be with this guy because, you know, he was potentially, or he might have been with some guy or in an intimate way. So it's like, you can't hold people to those standards. You know, as a feminist and you're trying to raise a feminist son, you have to allow them to be open to who they are. So it's like, you can't treat your girls and not treat your men the same way. And I think nowadays, especially, you see more men that are more open with their sexuality. And our generation, young rappers our age, where they're wearing skirts and, you know, they're considering themselves asexual. And I mean, that has nothing to do whether they consider themselves, you know, man or woman. It's simply just who they are. And I mean, they have so much freedom to express that. And you see these old head, you know, rappers coming at them like, oh man, these suckers, this, that, and the third, where it's like, this is just who they are. And if you don't want to adapt to that, that's on you. But I mean, our generation, I think young millennials are just out there. And I think we're able to put wear our hearts on our sleeves and put our emotions on the table without regret. And I think sometimes that can be challenging or, you know, too out there for older generations. You know, they might not be ready for that.
They're not used to that. But I think that it is a blessing. Like, millennials are coming, like, this is coming true. Because it's true, like, you know, the older generations are not as open as this new generation. Like, our, like, children specifically are just going to be so tolerant. And I think that's one thing that we're missing as a society. Like, let's just get some acceptance going. Like, let's get a round table of acceptance. You don't look like me. Cool. Let's still play together. Like, why not?
Yeah.
When
I made that switch and I turned off that thought of men being villainous and everything, it changed my perspective on men in general. So whereas I was dating these macho, I'm a man guys, I was so turned off by that. Yeah, I was so turned off by that now. So like now I'm like into guys who have septum piercings and who are models and just you can't place them. And that is perfectly fine with me, but I know what they like. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But but to society it's like, oh well,
that has nothing to do with anything. I think it's so beautiful that a person can just be themselves, you know, and that's what's attractive. That's what's beautiful. That's what's life-changing. And I think that once people open themselves up to that, you'll be free. It's like, it's so freeing. I love it.
Yeah, they don't have to spend their whole life healing from their childhood. They're just come as you are the whole time.
That part.
Hello.
There's so much healing to do.
Isn't there? Amen.
Oh my God, I'm dying over here. This. Let me go first, because I'm boiling over here. First of all, this is a bunch of bullshit. What you're doing is you're punking out these young boys. That's what you're doing, and that's why they soft now. Okay? I always knew in my heart of hearts, I can only teach my son to be a good man, but I can't teach him to be a man. That was his father's job. And I also thank God to the fact that I was surrounded by men all my life, and I learned a lot of little lessons that I traded to my son. But this is why these young men are the way they are right now. They're emotionally unintelligent. And I hate to say this, but they're flaming them out. I wish I would see my son with some nail polish on his damn nails. Okay? Even when my son was a baby and he started crying, I would get down to his level and I would ask him, why are you crying? Are you dying? Are you bleeding? I would check him and make him internalize his emotions, even at 5, 6 years old. As long as you take the time to talk to them. You know, when my son played ball and he used to bang his head on the basketball court, I wasn't that mom, oh my God, Jordy, what's wrong? No, I will let the coach handle it. That's why they have trainers. That's why I have the coach. Now, would I sneak behind the bench once he was on the bench and talk to in his ear? But I wouldn't display it. And I also, I'm gonna land it here. I also remember one time where I guess my best friend, which is his godmother, thought I was spoiling him too much. And she checked me on it. She was like, you're creating the same fucking type of men that we sit here and complain about. Is that what you want for your son? And I stopped picking him up and driving him to school. My best friend said his ass can walk to school. It's less than a mile. You don't have to get up after working 10 hours and taking him to school. You're spoiling the kid. He can get up and walk. He can get up and come home. He'll figure it out. And that's exactly what I did, Payne. I stopped taking him to school. I stopped picking him up. He became resourceful and was getting rides here and there, but I refused. Now, if he was running late or if it was raining really hard, yeah, I would take him. But there was a point where I stopped taking him to school. What for? You got 2 legs. You got Tom and Jerry.
You know, let me.
But that video was bullshit. This is why our men are the way they are right now. And I would have slapped all them hoes if I was there at that table.
Hey Ray, I see you, and you can go first, and Trey Taylor can come up after you. Go ahead, Ray.
I mean, this is wonderful if you're planning on taking over a country in about 5-10 years. I mean, I've said it before. We're seeing the experiment of these female-led households, and they want to keep saying that men aren't important, and they're literally going to breed themselves into extinction, because this is what happens right before you have a civilization get taken over. Every other country on the world, in the planet, the other side of the world, is girding up. China is removing effeminate men from television right now. They've been doing it for over 2 years. They said, you gonna be a sissy on TV? We're not having that here. Y'all need to be ready to fight. We're getting ready to fight. And you got a table full of black women talking about, I want my child to be half gay.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You want your kid to be a punk.
That's crazy.
And the thing is, no one's doing this to us. You can't blame the white man for this shit. Y'all doing it because that's the only way that you can legitimately compete with us, is to make us like you, because we're not good at it. That's the only way. And that's the reason they're doing it intentionally on purpose. And you got to think there's a special place in hell for doing that to your own child, because that's the one man you've got full control over, and you're going to make that one a punk, the one that you're going to need. You're going to make him a punk. Shame on you. And I mean, honestly, you gonna get what you deserve. Because you deserve everything that's coming your way as a result of this. Because there's been no civilization on the planet that had a bunch of punks in the sense that we had, because we can reference the Spartans, because as far as we're concerned, sexuality wise, they was punks. But they were also the hardest warriors. And you know what happened to them? They stopped breeding. And then they got defeated. And these dudes can't fight. You just making straight punks. They're not the best warriors. They ain't nothing special about them. They don't got a shield alignment that requires them to be gay to get up in there and stay. You just making punks that are weak and then releasing them into the world in a country that you ain't gonna leave, because nobody else rocks out like we rocking out right now because they see us collapsing. So you can't go nowhere else. You're isolated into this little bucket that's going to get taken over at a certain juncture, because there's going to be more punks than men willing to fight for this. That's the reason that they're lowering the standards to get into the military, because you're making dysgenic, weak fucks and everything else. Y'all are ruining this country. You're ruining the place that you live, because no matter where else you go, you an American, you got to hold that L. We all do. And they're letting you do it. I honestly think that a panel like that, CPS should be called on every one of those fucking households, and those kids should be removed.
You know, this bullshit with participation trophies, everybody gets a trophy. I hated that as a coach. No, you suck. You don't get a trophy. You didn't come to practice. You don't know the plays. You don't deserve a trophy. I spoke to a recruiter from the military, and he told me, first of all, they're 500,000 down on enrollment right now. And the soldiers that they're being pumped out right now are not. He said, I wouldn't want to go to war right now with these kids that are coming out into the military. They're not built like what the hell is a stress card? They have a stress card now. And are you going to pull out a stress card if you step on a landmine? Are you going to say, I mean, I don't get it. And this is why we are in the, I mean, most young men don't know how to change a tire anymore. They don't know how to change the oil, or let alone check the oil. I mean, it's really sad. And I'm telling you, I made it a point to make sure that I did not feminize my son. I didn't play that shit.
Let's let Trey Taylor go ahead and say what he got to say on the topic.
Go ahead, Trey. Tell me how I'm being a hypocrite. First, let's address that. How am I being a hypocrite?
What's up, Trey? What's going on?
I did address it. I addressed it in the chat. It's not really much.
I can't. I mean, that I'm not living. Hold on.
You want me to address it or no?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Your mic is a little low, bro.
You can't have an expectation of the world, and then within your own home, you're not following that expectation. That makes you hypocritical.
And how is that?
Okay, well, when you get, I want to get to the other point, because that's really why I came up here. When you get when you get a chance, go back to the video and listen to what you said about the expectations of the world. I'm going based off of what you said, and if that expectation doesn't reflect your life, that makes you hypocritical. Now, the 3 points that I want to make about this. The first point, number one, is there's a whole bunch of emotional prison inmates, super emotional prison inmates. A whole lot of black men who are super emotional will show out their emotions, sit in a prison cell right now. And why? Because they have mothers like these women sitting around on these panels who are encouraging them to not be in control of their emotions and not giving them the proper outlet for their emotions. Men have emotions, and nobody's disregarding that. But what needs to happen is men have to channel their emotions differently. And the reason for that is because men can cause mayhem. We can cause destruction. A 14-year-old boy can destroy shit. Don't believe me? I believe there was a young kid that was up in Kentucky somewhere with a rifle shooting people. He got off. Young boys can destroy some. So imagine what a grown man can do. It's a reason why we teach young boys, get up, don't cry. There's a reason for these things, because the lesson is be in control of your emotions, because if you are not, there is irreparable damage, not only to the world, but to yourself when you're sitting inside of a cell for the next 10 to 15 years. That's number one. But black women can't seem to understand that. Number two, this isn't the first time that black women have encouraged young black boys to be gay. There was a woman who did a video where she was holding up her baby and saying, I hope you're gay. I hope you turn out to be gay. I hope you're gay, holding up rainbow signs. Black women are destroying young black men, and nobody seems to give a damn. Nobody seems to care. And when I say things like black women are trash, leave black women alone, these are the reasons why I'm saying it, because they will destroy not only your children, but your whole fucking existence if you allow it. They prove it every opportunity they get, every chance they get to show you, we will fucking cause mayhem in your life. They take it and they run with it. They fake that they're lost and they've been abducted. They fake it. The whole thing is a sham. A man takes on you and your kid. He gives you the greatest lifestyle in the world, and then you go out and write a book and talk about how you never loved a man in the first place. They will destroy you. And I could go on and on and on. There's a whole lot of examples to show. At some point in time, black men have got to step up and say, and I think a lot of them are, this is the reason for the Passport Bro movement. This is the reason for the Blue Book Gentleman movement, because a lot of black men have said, enough is fucking enough. We're done with y'all. I saw 4 lesbian couples today. The only people that want black women are black women. That's where we're going. That's the direction we're headed in. That the only women that are the only people that are going to want black women are other black women, because black men are looking at this and going, there's no way in hell you're going to raise my son to be feminine. There's no way in hell you're going to raise my son to be soft. I left the military because when I came home and saw my son put his hand on his hip, I said, oh, hell no. He's been around his mother too much. I have to do something. I came home and I didn't re-enlist. He needed me more than I needed the military. My third point, and I'll finish with this. Ray alluded to it earlier about the country getting taken over. It's just a matter of time. I was in the military. I was the last sort of wave before the stress cards that Grace was talking about. It is a real thing. Stress cards are a real thing. They are passing them out. And what happens is that when the drill instructor or the training instructor is getting on you too much, you can actually pull a stress card out and hold it up and say, I can't take this. Well, I've been to Iraq twice. I wish there was a card for me to hold up when we were driving down MSR Tampa and they were blowing us the fuck up. I wish I could hold a card up and say, I can't take this. Can you guys please stop with the daisy chain explosives? Can you guys please stop shooting at us? We are raising a culture of weak men, and weak men create weak nations that are conquered by stronger nations. Ray told you about China. It ain't just China. North Korea is doing it too. Japan is working on it too. And guess what? I don't know if you guys know, they got more soldiers than we do.
That's right.
They got more soldiers than we do. Now, we might be better equipped and better trained, but they have sure numbers. The movie 300, the Spartans were better trained. They were better fighters. They lost. The war of attrition will get you at the end at some point in time. It always works that way. We're creating a nation of weak men who can't protect the very women that are producing these weak ass men. Who gonna protect you? Because you can't even damn near well protect yourself on these streets. I know, because that's the life I lived when I was a police officer, how many reports I was taking from women who couldn't protect themselves on the streets. And now you want to create the weak men who can't protect you? Okay. Black women, y'all are done. I'm telling y'all, in about 100 years, y'all are going to be extinct. There will be no more of y'all. If you keep going down this path, strong men create strong nations, which are able to protect women, which create the families that everybody's begging for. That's all I got.
Oh yeah, you know what? Thanks, Trey, for that. Listen, Black David, if you have something to say after you say it, let's put up the super chats and get them out of the way.
No problem. No problem. Good evening, guys, because that video literally triggered me the hell out of me right now. How would I say
knew why he put it up.
How would I say this without being vicious? No, what? Fuck that. I have to be vicious. When they say black women at the bottom of the totem pole of dating, they mean they at the rock bottom. There's no values at all on a global stage for a black woman. The world has seen it already. We have a bunch of retarded, good-for-nothing, bottom-feeding bitches bitching and moaning and complaining over the web about men going across the country looking for a wife. But you don't realize the women that they competed with over there are more highly educated than your dumbass. So if you did not check the educational standard of the global world. America is not degraded when it comes to education. So when you get off your stupid fake high horses and start to realize you are being replaced on the grand stage, that is the problem. You make fun of Asian women. Asian women are more intelligent than you. They're highly educated than you are. You can never touch what they can touch. What about the Middle East? What about Asia? Like, come on. What about Germany? Like, are you kidding me? The way I look at it right now, I'll be, oof, man. Trade said it best. Strong man makes strong generation, strong nation. For a strong man to date the weakest of the weakest black woman is a disgrace. I know managers say African people are crazy. Yeah, I know I've been crazy. I do have a warrior blood in me. I will protect my own. If I have to hoax smack, I'll hoax smack the person. But I'll be goddamned. I'm gonna make kids with that weak ass gene. That but two weak men. No. Oh hell no. The fact that you want to gaslight yourself, by all means, carry on. I'm looking forward for your kind to die out quickly so I can celebrate.
Well, you landing it there. Listen. One of the things, I'm gonna be real quick so we get to the super chats. Listen, those women they're not dying now. They're not. That's the point. The rest of us will, because of women like that. And I don't know how I found that video. I said, okay, there's a couple of sisters talking about gender roles. And then I listened to them. I said, oh my God, it's one of the things that I caution any black woman, especially black women. You can't afford to be with a man who's bisexual or down low. That's how you guys catch some of the worst diseases you'll ever get, right? Especially AIDS. You can't afford for your husband to come home and hit you raw when he's out on the streets. You know why? Because men's sexual appetite is different than a woman's, even though women are sexually active and stuff. But even women have sometimes when they have downtime. It could be a period. It could be even a prostitute says no to some men, even porn stars. But you get two men who have no governors. They're doing all kinds of shit to each other with all kinds of men, and then they're coming home to you, right? So this whole thing that you want to accept men who like to, butt buddies, yeah, no, that's no, because you can never trust him.
Payne. According to TJ, who work in the medical field, he said black women carry the most sexual disease and are quicker. So it bet to lead them at their own demise.
Yeah, but okay, but yeah,
what I'm trying to say, TJ.
I'm just saying. Let's not go down. I don't want to go down that. Listen, I don't want to. I mean, listen, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We know they have the most disease, but I'm telling you, since they have the warm, nice, beautiful, cavernous shit that grows stuff, that if a guy has AIDS, they can catch it easily from a guy with AIDS. So, listen, I just want to hit the super chat. I think we got the point that's made. That these women who are around that table, they're not your average scrags.
Nope.
They look like they were middle class women who had, maybe some, some professionalism with them and stuff like that. And if they're talking like that,
they were trash.
I didn't say they weren't trash. I didn't say they weren't trash. I'm just saying.
Don't let makeup.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
They present well, Trey. They present well.
Okay, let's just say they present well. That's what I mean. They present well. And so since they present well, they might have a little bit more reach than the people around with the shit encrusted fingernails and all that other kind of stuff. So anyway,
we got to read the back. We got to keep talking because he's not ready yet. So keep going.
No, I just want to hit the super chat.
He's not ready. You don't listen, bro. He's not ready yet.
Yeah, read the back chat. You gotta look at the back chat. We gotta keep talking. Okay. We gotta keep talking.
That's good. Go ahead.
He's ready now.
Oh, okay. Now he's ready. There we go. Now you can do the super chat. You gotta keep the back chat active.
All right. So who wants to read Pig Ad 11? Go ahead, man. Pig Ad 11. Payne, we need to bring back Player of the Year and the Player of the Year award ball, and I'm listening to that, and he's listening to the lady. So he wants to bring out the Player of the Year ball. Okay. Who wants to read the next one? Kasim, why don't you bring your ass up, Kasim? You're the man, so you can elevate us with all the money you got. Anyway.
Oh, Jesus.
I want to bullshit.
Yeah, Kasim, come on up here so we can talk about why you're using the word partner.
All right, Kasim, $5. Failing to encourage men to be strong does young men no good. And it doesn't do women any good, especially if they want to find a partner. And yeah, that partner word, man, you triggered all of us. I understand where you're coming from. But if they're looking for just a boyfriend, that's not good enough either. But if they're looking for a guy to live life with, it's husband. Husband. Anyway. I like that jam.
Get it.
Yeah, Big Ant $10. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, brothers. Thank you, everybody, man, for the donations to Big Black Man. So, what's next, Gracie? What's going on?
We got a lot of juicy comments in the comment that we can address because the comment section is twerking right now.
It's twerking hard, bro.
I mean, we got our number one, Travel One, talking her shit. I timed out Lady D because I didn't want that energy with this show tonight. I was
Lady D. You timed out. What's she saying?
Yeah, I timed her out. Ain't nobody got time for that shit tonight. This is.
Right, so
she said, Grace, come on now. Black men are always talking about fighting so they can fight for their children. No coddling. They don't want to.
Man,
I don't understand.
I mean, it's not just black men. It's white men, dude. I personally know a guy who tried to get custody of his kids, whose mother was keeping them in a crack house. And the court case was so bad that the lawyer that was on the mother's side, the mother's lawyer retired because of what she did to those kids. It's not easy. You don't just get to walk up and fight. This is somebody who actually did fight tooth and nail to the end for his kids because they were literally in a crack house. Literally, like he knew that they were being abused. Most of you are not necessarily abusing these kids. You're just putting them in environments where you sit there talking about, oh, the baby daddy ain't shit, but then you don't want to give up custody because you don't want to have to pay child support potentially.
Well, Travel One had one. Okay, good. Let me land it for a second. Because Travel
not only that, it's all about money. Federal courts make money off of child support. So if they do that, and most women are not going to be able to pay child support. Right. So it's all about the money trail too.
Right.
And courts are not men friendly. No. They're not. I went through it with my ex-husband and his ex-wife. Every little thing, we have to fight and fight and fight. And it's crazy. These courts are not, and most men don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to get a lawyer and fight it. So a lot of them just say, fuck it. Fucking kids.
A better question to ask Travel One is why are black men having to fight for their kids in the first place?
Facts.
Why are you having
Facts?
How are you having children with a man that you can't sit down and devise a plan that is best for your children? Mm-hmm. That's a better question to ask. Men shouldn't have to fight for their children at all, and child support should be relegated to absentee fathers, fathers who abandon, neglect, and abuse their children. Outside of that, you should not be able to get child support. So that's the question we should be asking. Travel One, again, as usual, in the deep end of the pond, but you can't swim, sweetheart.
Shit.
Wait, she got another one. She said...
No, Colger asked me a question, right? She says... she asked, Mr. Payne, do you agree that your daughter's, is done, or your daughter is done because she is black? And I don't know where you get this one from. That's the opposite. Of course, we have no world where all her future's pretty bright. I thought it's pretty, black or not. So I didn't.
Romantically, you're talking about finding a black man.
If that's what you're talking about?
Yeah, talking about professionally.
No. Listen, I don't believe that because she's black. I don't believe that. You know, she's just got to look just like everybody else. I mean, there's people out here want to get married. You know, I mean, I have a video, not for this one. Yeah, there's still people out here. Just got to look, and that's provided she wants to get married. My daughters are strange, but
And
anyway.
that's what I said, and she showed me in the past. If you want to bring a dowry, a human a black woman never qualify for the dowry because they have no value to be a part of that. So when
Yeah,
I
well,
said what I said, I don't care if I hit below the belt.
mm-hmm.
Too many black women have showed already they got nothing in them. They're not putting nothing in them. No, they're trying to acquire anything to be in them to begin with. They are something-less. They got no real value. They are nothing but with an empty barrel making the biggest noise ever. Period. So what's the point with having the retarded black woman like Travel One want to make such stupid argument, but yet you have no something in what you're speaking about? I'm being brutally honest right now. If you want to put a scorecard, y'all useless in many levels.
He said useless.
No, let me phrase that. If you don't know the difference of this word, undesirable element, you look it up. That's what you look like. I could kill less if I hurt anybody for the right now. I'm
Nah,
sick
Black David,
and
this is
beyond.
what we need. We need more of this. We need straight talk. Black women been coddled too much. And here's another thing we don't talk enough about. A lot of these black women out here got daddies. And they daddies are perpetuating these negative things too. The daddies are in their ear telling them don't rely on the man. The daddies are doing just as much damage as the mothers are doing. That's something we don't want to talk about. No, you need to keep it 100, Black David. We need to stop coddling these women and tell them the 100 honest truth.
No, you are
Black
right.
women, you are in last place.
There are some dads that are
Last
not doing an
place.
honest job. They're not doing an honest job at all. They're setting up to fail.
I agree with you, Trey, because my dad raised me, and I would always remember him saying, I'm going to raise you where you don't need a man. You may want a man. I'll take care of all your needs. Okay, well, my dad passed. Now he's gone. Okay, now what? You see what I'm saying? So it took me a long time to I've always loved men and respected men, but I never looked at them as I needed them. I wanted them. So you're right. It is a disservice because my dad spoiled me, and there's no man that can compare to him or has ever given me anything, that my dad did. And now I try to compare every man with my dad, and he's cut from a different cloth and a whole different mindset. So you're absolutely right. Fathers need to teach their daughters that they need a man. That's why the father walks the daughter down the aisle and gives it to the husband to be. Now you know what I'm saying? I'm passing you off. It's your turn now.
Yeah,
it was very hard for me to be in my femininity. I was so always in control that in order for me, and I like dominant men and I want an alpha man. I say that's what I want, but I couldn't handle it back then because I was so used to getting my way and running shit. And this is the best way I try to explain to men. If I've been driving the car for so long, it is very hard for me to relinquish the steering wheel. First, I got to trust that you know how to drive. I got to trust that you're going to get me there safely. And I got to trust that you know where you're going. And I'm working on that. It's still a work in progress because I've been in management at 18 years old. I've been a head coach. I've always been in leadership roles. So it is a work in progress for me.
Question for you, Grace. I have a question for you on this point.
Go ahead.
Now that you're a little older, that transition is not as easy as if you were younger, right? Let's just say you had the same training. It's when you get your revelation. You have more of a revelation now. And what I'll ask everybody who's up here, what's the balance? Okay. I have daughters, right? And I told my daughters a couple of things about college and the kind of guys they would meet there. They should, whether they come out with a guy they're cleaving to or not, they would never get around a bigger and better pool of men in one place who have the future in mind in college when you were on campus with those guys. So don't lose sight of that. So actually, my youngest daughter stays in contact with a lot of people from the university. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, I told them about having a man cover them and my role and their grandfather's role with their mother and what I think my role is with them. And one of the things I would like them to do is find somebody who could cover them that I can trust, so I don't have to do it all as they get older. However, I have to balance that is if they don't find a husband, they have to still be self-sufficient. They have to still be self-sufficient. So it's a balancing act, but so the words matter. If I say I want you to be independent so you don't need a man, I never said that shit to my daughters, ever, 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 ever. Right? And neither has my wife. But I wanted them to be self-sufficient. Because if they don't find a guy that they want to marry, then what?
And I'm glad you said that because I don't want to give credit to, but I have to. I gotta give credit to Anton Dan when you talk about how he want to raise his daughter. Talk about how his mom and his aunt is teaching his daughter how to be a real woman. That is a community-based family. We have too many individualized family who are not community-minded. That's why they raise weak men. They want to raise weak women. I would care if you're highly educated, get your degree, you make six-figure, whatever. But at the end of the day, what the value in that when you got nothing to show for just what? Monetary gain? Like, come on.
Answer the balance question.
This is not about balance.
Okay, so tell me what it's about.
You know what I find extremely funny is that women will put themselves in a plan A only position when it comes to getting a job and going to college. There is no other plan. I'm going to college. I'm going to get a great job. But when it comes to a man and a husband, there's all these fucking options all of a sudden. And so when I hear you talking about balance, no. She needs to take the same approach that she took to going to college and getting a job. There is no other plan. I am going to get a husband. All these women out here bullshitting about this manifestation and all this other. Why y'all never manifest a husband? Where that manifestation at? It's never there. No, what has happened is that the men have been programmed just as badly as the women are to teach their young daughters, you don't need men either. Even though I'm a man and you depend and rely on me.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. This is not about balance. You put them in the same position that you put them in when it was time for them to get good grades in high school. When she needed to study to pass that SATs, she didn't have a choice. There was no plan B. There was no plan B. She had to get a good score on them so that she can get into the college she wanted to go to. She had to do well in college and get good grades. Why? So she can get the job she wants. So we teach women all the time that you don't have to do other things. Just do what you're supposed to do. Stay focused, and you'll get what you're working for. We teach y'all that all the time, except for when it comes to a man. Except for when it comes to a man.
Trey, I'm glad you said that because when Anton said what he said, at first I thought to do with African, but that was that African mentality. We're talking about we raised our daughter to be future wife to the proper men. We didn't raise our daughter to be quote unquote independent.
But David, you're leaving out some context because failure where you're from equals death. So, I mean, you know good and well, like the worse a country is, the more the men are respected. Like it's just what it is, because then you gotta deal with that. Here, it does not equate to death. It just means that you're gonna have a grueling, hard, tiring life forever. And that's the reason you see them once they get to that age where they're over the wall and they're no longer particularly desirable, because the same dudes that you're trying to get after can go get a 30-year-old version of you, a 25-year-old version of you, and you can't provide children. So there's a whole dynamic there where they think they're just going to find these men that have better options. But it doesn't mean that they're going to die. They're just going to be bitter and upset until they die.
Listen, you know what? I hear all this, tough fucking talk, right? And I can hear, I don't disagree with it, but every woman who's been raised to be a wife doesn't find a husband. So what the fuck is she going to do if she's not prepared to live life? I mean, so there's a fucking balance. I don't care where you put it at. There's still a balance that's required.
You're trying to get that bullshit point across.
No, wait a minute, man. Listen, I have an opinion. You have an opinion.
The only reason why you have that point is because you have two daughters, and your view is always slanted because you have two daughters. I have a daughter. You're not the only one, and I'm telling you, if that's your approach, you're just like all the other men out here that are fucking their fucking students up. And whether you want to agree with it or not is irrelevant. And I'm telling you, as a man, it doesn't make it right, though. It doesn't make it right. It's fathers like you that fuck you haven't even got to the point yet where you have to prove your fucking theory, though. You haven't got to the point where your theories have to be realized. So you can talk all the shit you want to talk right now. You got a 5-year-old daughter. Yeah, I guarantee you, I won't be talking no bullshit balance like you are. I won't be talking that fucking. I don't think it's bullshit. Okay, so
our pain. This is the thing, though. When you have other people groupings that get together that both have careers that are both high level,
right?
The woman still stays at home. I get what you're saying about, oh yeah, you can go do what you want to do, but you know what? They figured out the assignment in college like you're supposed to. They're not sitting there going, I'm 40. Where's my high value man at? I can't have kids. Like that is a reality that you're seeing in an echo chamber.
Right.
Because
I agree.
Other cultures aren't doing that. You might see single baby mamas at 40 going, I want a relationship. I've got kids I don't want to have anymore. But they also get the same bad result. The only thing out there for you after you get over that wall is dick and bubble gum.
These white girls and these Asian girls go to college and they say ring before spring.
Yep.
The plan is already in place.
They're planning. Yep.
It's already in place. They say ring before spring. For those who don't know what ring before spring means, it means that they need to be married before they graduate college. And there are videos on TikTok right now of the camera going around to the women who are sitting at their college graduation and they holding up their left hand with their ring on there. So why are we teaching black women to do the same thing?
And on top of that, a lot of African ethnic groups have highly educated black women who are getting married off quicker than black women. So you cannot say that is not possible.
Yeah, listen, nobody, you know what? It's great to have shit the way you want it to be, but the reality is most women, black, white, indifferent, are not getting married in college. We want them to. They're not. They're not.
Keyword
no, most women are not getting married in fucking college. So stop. We want them to, and we have generations that made them not do that.
Did you tell your daughters to get married in college?
No, I didn't. Then
don't say we want them to, because you didn't do it.
I'm done with building women. I'm done with building the chick. I'm done with saving women. I'm done with Captain Save-A-Ho. Let's stop saving women. You got to look at women for who they are right now, not for what they could be, for right now. And women, they will see the potential in us and wait for that to grow. But it's not the same with women. Some women cannot grow. Some women are who they are. They didn't have that love in their life. They didn't have that father in their life to teach them how to be, what to look for, that love that they missing. Some women, it's just not it. I'm not settling for women that's not ready. I'm not trying to let a woman grow into the woman that they need to become. Fuck no. Either you are or you aren't. Either you is or you isn't. Let's not waste time, bro. You need a woman that's ready. A woman should be a wife now. No. You don't grow into becoming a wife. She already has to have that instilled in her. We wasting time on women trying to help them grow, and yeah, maybe one day she'll become this and she'll start cooking and cleaning, or she'll start rubbing my back and being affectionate, or she'll start fucking me better. Get up out of there, son. Get up out of there, bro. Get up out of there, twin. Get up out of there, twin. You know what I'm saying?
For the record, the median age.
So what I want what that said.
The median age of women getting married in the USA is 28.6. Just so y'all know.
Here's the one point that I would concede, and I wish would have happened the way Trey is saying. I just do. It just didn't. So, maybe is that casualty of war? I don't know. Maybe not. But the point really is that was I concentrating on them being wife, or was their mother? I thought they had enough evidence of our household that they could see some of the stuff. But, it is what it's going to be. So I hope the best for them, because I damn sure told them early on that life without a husband and later on in life is going to be brutal, whether they can see it or not. And I've said that shit more. I said it so much they didn't even want to hear me talk about, So not anymore. So they can make after a while they're gonna have to lay their bed, lay in their own bed. Now my oldest daughter is more enamored to having boyfriends and stuff and dating and shit like that. So there might be still some hope for her. So anyhow, but listen, let me ask you one more thing, Grace. We have another video, but and I like this video that this guy just showed up. Because I hate when BMU puts up a goddamn video that reinforces Trey's point and shit. But what I'm saying. Anyway, so we do have another video because we were all talking about roles, and the last one is guy. We have to break it up, but he has a few pointers about gender roles, and this probably goes to reinforces the point too. So we're gonna have to break it up into like 3-minute periods, but I don't know if you want to see that video now, and you just want to keep talking about it.
I mean, let's watch the video. Let's run the tape. It's a good video.
Yeah, that's a decent video. So let's look at the first part of that.
To get into a healthy marriage that you enjoy is to first become a godly man in your season of singleness, and then to marry a godly woman who's already godly before you marry her. If you marry a modern woman who's swallowed all of the cultural lies and rejected biblical truth, then you can guarantee you're going to have a miserable marriage. Therefore, here are 7 red flags that you should not ignore if you're a traditional Christian man and you want to find a godly wife. Number 1, if she rejects the clear commands in the Bible about a woman not leading in the family and in the church. To be very clear, the Bible does not say that it's wrong for a woman to lead in contexts outside of the church and the family. So maybe she can lead a company. It's not wrong for her to be the CEO or to be an elected government official and to be a manager over men in the secular workplace. However, the Bible does specifically say a woman should not lead in the church or in the family. When a woman believes to be equal with her husband, she must have the same role as her husband. This is a red flag. The Bible says she is equal with her husband and of equal value in the church, but her role is different. Fathers and husbands are different than wives and mothers. And if this woman doesn't understand that, and she feels like you should all be exactly the same, then avoid her, because you will not have a successful marriage with her. Number 2, if she's offended by the word submit as it's properly used in Scripture. I'm not pointing this out to say, make submission a huge issue. Are you willing to submit, woman? I'm not saying that, but I am saying this is a watershed moment or a watershed topic that instantly lets you know where a woman stands theologically and in her spiritual maturity. And make sure you notice that I said the word submit as it's properly used in the Bible, because we could do a whole nother video about how men misuse this word submit when it refers to wives. So yes, in the Bible, the word is used for wives to submit to their husbands. And in that very same passage in Ephesians 5, it says that husbands are to die for their wives. So which word is more offensive to you or to the general public? To submit or to die? So those are both words could be offensive if we take them out of context. But when we use these words in their proper context, they are beautiful. And they show a beautiful union that expresses the love between Christ and his church. Additionally, a man is never told to make a woman submit. A husband is never told anything directly about a wife submitting to him. Anytime that command is given, it's given to the wife to submit to her husband. It's a command that says, wives, submit to your husbands. That means it's her choice. It cannot be forced. That is unbiblical. Men are not called to make women submit. It has to be their choice. And to the Christian men I'm talking to, if she doesn't want to make that choice, when you're trying to make the choice to love and sacrifice as you're called to do, then don't get involved with her. Because you will try to love her, but she will not respect you. And for a relationship to be biblical and healthy, as it says in Ephesians 5:33, there needs to be an emphasis of love and respect. The husband emphasizing love and the wife emphasizing respect, which doesn't mean that husbands don't love and respect and wives don't love and respect.
All right, yeah. So, yeah, we'll wait for the next two parts. I mean, the next part. So, what do you guys think? Yeah, Grace, go ahead.
On point.
I mean, it's very biblical. And you know, people nowadays are going to throw that Bible out the window. That's not the world we live in. That's not da 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 da. But that's what worked back then. That's what worked. And we got off track of what was working, and now look at the results. So let's go back to what was working. Maybe it wasn't working 100%, but it was better than the position that we're in right now. You see what I'm saying? So I also think at the same time, because of the world that we live in, it's okay to customize your marriage to the couple, as long as you keep God into it. As long as God's hands is into it, that's all that matters. A lot of these marriages don't even involve God. And I can tell you right now, that's one of the mishaps. Yeah, my husband and I got married in a church and it was beautiful. But we never really interjected with God in our marriage. And that was the beginning of the end of our downfall. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I like the fact that he didn't take sides in interpreting the word. So, like I said, I always keep one foot in the secular world. So, but there's a lot of flexibility in the words as long as you understand what they're saying, and that gives room for the negotiation you're talking about, as long as you don't overstep the bounds of the words in the Bible. And but you got to be kind of understanding what you're reading. But who wants to go first?
I'll speak on that. I'll speak on that because I'm glad he broke it down the way he broke it down, because I'll be real honest here. Too many black women in church don't want to hear that. I've worked in church. I've served in church. When it comes to that type of topic, they don't want to hear it. They'll glance over it and say, I don't understand. I think we talked about it. I'm not feeling it. It's crystal clear in that scripture. The problem with most black women, either they're too dumbfounded, they're too ignorant, or too dumb to understand it. I'm just being brutally honest. I could care less. I hurt anybody's feelings. I've seen that bullshit for far too long. When we want to sit down and talk about that particular topic, they will look left, they'll look right, they will give you some kind of stupid argument. But what did the scripture just said? Who did the scripture address in first concerning marriage? The man or the woman? 9 out of 10, they don't want to look at it. But if you go by Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22-33, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 1 and 7, which also reinforce Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22-33. But then again, most women don't want to hear that. So this is why I give me the undercut.
Okay. Trey, what you got?
The book of Trey Taylor, chapter 1, verse 1 says that it sounds good, brother. It sounds real good. And I don't disagree with him because he's got the scripture to back him, right? So there's nothing to disagree with. However, what he's essentially saying is that he's essentially dooming men to a life without women. Because if you're sitting there and waiting for her to submit in a world that's telling her every day not to submit, well, what are we doing then? If you're saying that she's got to come to the table and she's already have to have submission in her heart because that's what God commanded her to do, well, I'll wait. And I'll have more gray hairs and I'll be balder than what I am while I wait for this particular woman to show up. Because she ain't coming. Because a lot of the women, even these so-called Christians, are controlled by said secular world. And what they see when they scroll up and down their Instagram every day, which is telling them you don't need men, Don't submit to a man. Don't put yourself in a position where you could be asked out. Anissa claims to be a godly woman, and she said in the chat earlier that the fathers taught them that way to be that way so they don't end up like Cassie. This is the way they think.
Oh, God.
This is the way they think.
Yeah.
This is how they think. So he's right. He's right. Based on what the word said, based on what Ephesians said, but I don't know how applicable it is to today's world.
Got it. Go ahead, Ray. What you got?
Get a passport. Don't date Western women. It's that simple. Like, I mean, honestly, like it's sure there might be some you might stumble across one, and you know what, lock it down. But realistically, at all the age levels, if you're in the West, specifically America, like it's over. It's over. America's already lost this war. They just haven't been we haven't been invaded yet. This is already a lost cause. So, like, if you want to root around in the trash and try to find a woman, totally fine. But honestly, it'd be more prudent to just go places that still have some semblance of values that you align with left and pick a wife from there and just make another person with that person. I don't see what the big deal is. Like, y'all, we're trying to change, and y'all are trying to turn back some shit that people have spent over 3 decades putting themselves in positions where they don't have money to influence your children and your children's children and those children, your great grandkids. You yelling online is not going to fix that. And you're not willing to go not make money to influence children now. So that's the only way to fix this. So we're kicking a dead horse that is actively terminally ill and dying. And there's no amount of screaming into the ether right now that's going to be a solution for these people, because everything that we're dealing with right now has been 30 or 40 years in the making, and it started in schools where your kids are all day long. And we haven't put anybody in there to contest this shit. And it's going to take, you ain't going to fix a 40-year fucking problem overnight talking on a panel, because we're talking to adults. We need to, the only way to fix this is starting with the kids, and all the people that are existing now that don't get it are just dead bodies that exist. And the more that we pretend like we're going to help these people, it's not going to happen. Y'all ain't going to change shit. It's the same reason that I'm fine with my channel. I talk to 10 people. The 10 people that don't fucking suck, that are going to have a chance of surviving what's coming. I made my arc for them. 2 of each. That's all you get. Everyone else is dead already. And y'all keep pretending like they're not. That, like, going back and forth on these panels, these people don't want to change. Not only do they not want to change, they're not being reinforced to change. The church has changed to cater to these losers.
Absolutely.
So y'all's religion, then that's the reason when I get on these panels and you guys want to talk religion, I'm like, y'all don't really believe in this shit.
Well,
you guys be putting pride flags every fucking where. The last people who got into a fight to try to defend some kids was fucking from another country in this country. Y'all don't care. Y'all don't believe in the God. Like, if y'all, I pray to God, y'all don't believe in the God you say you believe in, because you'll all go to hell. You will. You talk shit about Muhammad in a Muslim country, you ain't leaving. You go outside of a mosque and talk about Muhammad here, you ain't leaving. Those people are scared of their God. He's real to them. Yours isn't. And you can tell by the way this fucking society runs and the way that people talk shit about your religion all the time, and you don't do shit because you don't believe what those words say, beyond being able to get up here and morally feel good about quoting scripture to other people and telling them that they're heathens when you're letting your God be disrespected regularly.
Okay, so Ray, I hear you, and you're right. But unfortunately and fortunately, we got part 2 of this one coming up.
Oh, so, Jesus Christ, not more.
So can we play the second part to this? Because he got a couple of more steps I'd like him to go through. They make sense, but you're right. Your point's still made. We got, if we can get the next at 4:10 mark, I believe. Who's out there? Or maybe BMU went to the bathroom or something. I don't know. But anyway, listen, it's a 4:11 mark. Whenever you get there, whoever's running that thing in the back. So
Black David,
don't
what you
love
doing
and
over there?
respect, but there needs to be an emphasis there because that's how God has wired our hearts. Number 3, if she views her career and her career goals just like a worldly man does. Again, to be clear, it's not sinful for a woman to value her career. For example, when you read about the Proverbs 31 woman, it's very clear that she was entrepreneurial. She did value working and producing an income. So that's not wrong for a woman to have some goals there. However, when you read about a Proverbs 31 woman, it's clear that her family was her main focus. And the problem nowadays is that women have been sold the lie that just like a worldly man, the most important thing to you should be your career. It's going to bring you the most joy. It's going to be the most important thing in your life. And the women who end up swallowing this lie get older and realize that was a mistake. That wasn't true. They're not happy because their career doesn't satisfy them like a healthy family unit would have satisfied them. So as a man, you should not be prioritizing your career over your family and relationships either. But as a man, you have the responsibility of being the provider. Therefore, you will have a different relationship towards your work than a Christian woman should have towards her work. And so it's going to look differently. All that to say, if a woman has been fed this lie and believe this lie that a career is the most important thing to her, then I would avoid her because she's not going to be ready to fulfill her role as a wife and a mother. You don't need a woman trying to do your job as the provider. You need a woman who can do those things you can't do, like be a wife and be a mother. Number 4, if she believes abortion is good. Now, maybe you're like, what does abortion have to do with this topic? I agree it's wrong, but this is a video about red flags about...
Yeah, I didn't want to go down that path. Because, so listen, because I wanted to stay with the general, so I didn't want to talk about that. So on this, the one about her putting her job before her being a mother and stuff. I mean, Trey, you alluded to it, and that was one of the big pushbacks the football player had, because he made a convention speech and he said exactly that. If you know, this is the greatest thing you could do is raise your children. You know, so I don't know. So what's Alyssa saying? I'll gladly let the man.
It's too late. It's too late. Ain't nobody provide for you. It's over.
Well, Alyssa, what would you do? What you gonna do with your money? With all that bank you have, what you gonna give him in return? That's what you should come up here. I would like you to tell us what you give in return.
It's too late. You don't get a provider now. You're at the end of the game. You don't get provided for now. What for? What for? What are you providing to be provided for? You're just a person, and that's going to be a person, and you want them to pay for your shit? You a whole ass adult now. It's too late, lady. Like it really.
Hey, Ray, what age is Spinster start?
Bro, for real, like get yourself 3 roommates and remake the Golden Girls. That's what you get at this point.
Whole time, Golden Girls is funny. It's a funny ass show.
It was a good show, but it was so telling because that's what happens. That's literally what happens. And they were trying to, as good of a show as Golden Girls was, because I grew up on Golden Girls too. That's what's going to happen. That's the last recourse for y'all is 3 of y'all getting into a house because shit's gonna be heavy. Like, who's going to provide for you after you are no longer viable or useful? Who's doing that? Nobody. These dudes that are providing for women, when they get rid of their wives, they're going and finding a chick that's 15 years, 20 years younger than she was to provide for them because they're providing something. This is what's happening. And we can talk about it, and we can spin it, and we can have fun because the premise of a younger girl is even if you're an old dude and she's 15, 20 years younger than you can put a baby in her still. You could still get something out of that that's tangibly yours. Your genes could replicate one more time before you kick the bucket. One more time. Y'all are acting like, oh, I would love for it now. You at the end of the road, hindsight is 2020. There's a bunch of shit that I wish I'd done financially in my 20s. Now I can't. Now I'm here. Now you're here. Consequences come for us all in different shapes and forms. those of you who didn't get the message early on, at the end, you might be able to, you can substantiate a roommate. I see that pairing up happening. But like, as far as getting provided for, y'all might as well lose that whole idea. It's just not going to happen. You could be in a better situation than you are because you're paying 100% of the bills already. I don't see what's wrong with paying half of them and having somebody who can carry the heavy shit. Because right now you paying 100 and carrying the heavy shit.
Hey, Anissa, come up here and tell us what your husband's name is. Come up here, because you talking about us being single, but you single.
Yeah,
and we're single by choice.
And just
we're single by choice.
No,
we ain't here asking where the good women are.
But just because you're an older woman who has a fuck buddy, because that's what it is, it's a fuck buddy. You ain't married.
Yeah.
So while you sitting here calling on my we're single, you single too. Come tell us what his name is. Come show us the ring that he gave you. Where did y'all get married? Where was the honeymoon?
See, now she can get provided for.
So let me ask you a question, guys. What do I tell my son then? He's 18 years old. He graduated high school yesterday. I was thinking about all the graduates yesterday. I'm like, they're all going to go off to college, and none of them have marriage on their mind right now. What do I tell my son?
Trey,
you tell him keep his head down and build his castle. That's what you tell him.
Yep.
That's what I told him. I just wanted to hear your answer. I told him for the next 10 years, you stay on your purpose and you lay the foundation to become a husband and a father. I'm not saying don't have your fun. I want you to be like Baskin Robbins and try all 32 flavors. Just don't make no goddamn baby. Facts. Don't make me a godmother right now. Give me 10 years. Now it's my turn. I got to get my groove back. You know, give me 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then when I turn 60 and you'll be 28, which is a good age, we'll both hit that milestone together. You
got my drink in my two-step.
Oh my God. So I agree with that 100%. I would add to it. The reason you do this is because if you get locked down too early, you are putting yourself in a circumstance. And unfortunately, these are the reality of it is most people get divorced to get married anyway. And I would say it's going to be better to put yourself in a position to where you can demand someone sign a prenup because you have stuff to protect so that you've secured the bare minimum of your existence so that you don't end up building everything you have with somebody and then having them wipe the slate in half because you didn't have shit to protect to go back to. So for me, like when I choose Anissa to get married, I'm going to have a property, a couple of portfolios, and a steady stream of fucking income to where I could just sit at home and do nothing. And I could go back to sitting at home and doing nothing. And that will all be protected because I will be enforcing a prenup because I'll be like, bitch, I made all this shit before you showed up. The stuff we build together, dope. But you're not touching any of my shit if you decide to walk out of here. There's no cash and prizes besides what you put in on. And
I was 29 when I got married. So
yeah.
That's a good age. Now, his girlfriend asked me a question. She asked me, do you think we're too young to be in a serious relationship? I said at 18, the both of y'all are 18, the both of y'all are going to graduate and go to college. You don't think you're going to see a whole bunch of guys now and want to, do things? You don't think my son is going to go see a whole bunch of different girls and you want to try to build something? I mean, I say you have a 50-50 chance. For it to survive, because I was dating his father in college and it didn't pan out. Well, every time I called his dorm room, there was girls in the dorm.
He's too young. She is not. He's too young to get married.
Right.
She is not.
Right.
See, she has a plan. She wants to be a veterinarian. She's going to college. She's doing this.
But let him finish the point, though, Grace.
And that's here we go again. Right. I mean, it just never stops. Here we go again. Her plan, be a veterinarian. Where's husband? Where's mother?
Facts.
Where's husband?
Yeah,
Where's
but
mother?
get back to your point, Trey.
It's veterinarian. They are making my point. She is not too young. At 18, she needs to be focused on a family. I told you guys what my plan is for my daughter. I've said this a million times. Baby, you need to get married and have all your kids before 22. That way, when your youngest is 18, you will be 40, and you can do whatever the hell you want.
So give us an age range.
Are you afraid of these facts you're about to get?
Give us the age range for the husband that you would accept for her. Or what kind of position does he have to be in, Trey? If we stay on that track,
he needs to be in a stable position that he can provide for a family. But furthermore, outside of the stability, there's some other questions that need to be asked that only a father, you know this, Payne, only a father can talk to another man about.
Right.
And that is his true intentions of what type of man he actually is. Is he just trying to smash my daughter, or does he actually want to provide and take care of her for the rest of their lives? Those are questions that I can ask him man to man without him getting in his feelings, versus a woman who might be a little bit more emotional. She might pull back some punches. I'm not pulling no punches. That's my daughter.
Yeah, but my question to you, Trey, though, really is that part of it. The other part is, do you have any kind of criteria in terms of if he's ready? Does he have? He can't. We're not talking about a guy who's 35 and your daughter's 20. We talk about he's got to still be in his 20s.
I don't have a problem with age gap dating. That's everybody else.
Okay.
Age gap dating doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I would much rather my daughter date an older man who is stable, secure, and prepared and ready to be a husband and provide for a family and lead a family, than for her to get with a guy that is her age and he ain't got shit and doesn't know what he's doing and he's learning on the job as he's going.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys have ever. I used to train young officers who were learning on the job. Have you ever been around somebody who's learning on the job? It is chaos. It's chaos because they don't know what to expect. I would much rather her date a man who is older, who's kind of been through the ebbs and flows of how this thing sort of works, and he's ready to be a husband. He's ready to be a father. He's ready to be the king of his castle. I would feel much more comfortable handing my daughter off to that man than to handing my daughter off to the 24-year-old who's like, I'm gonna figure it out though. I'm gonna figure it out. Don't worry, I got her. I gotta figure it out.
You got you. I wanted to get to that point. Anybody else? Because there's one more segment on this video at the 10-minute. You can make sure we get to the 10-minute mark. There's one more at the 10 minutes, starting at the 10-minute, and the last part is only 2 minutes long, so 2.5 minutes long. So if we get at the 10-minute mark, that's the last segment. And I think it's a pertinent thing that this guy is saying at the 10-minute mark. I don't know. I mean, it's whoever has the
she
control.
disdains traditional women who value motherhood and being a wife. You can learn a lot about a woman by how she treats other women and other types of women. Who does she look up to and who does she look down on when it comes to other women? So if she says things that are degrading towards stay-at-home moms, oh, she's just a stay-at-home mom. Or, oh, she's one of those weirdos who homeschools her kids. Or, those degrading comments or those untrue comments of a man and a woman can do exactly the same thing. A woman can do everything a man can do and a man can do everything a woman can do. That's just not true, okay? Both ways. Men can do things women can't do and women can do things men can't do as good. There are differences, obviously, when we're just being logical and factual. So if she's that type of woman who's degrading a traditional woman who has embraced those types of qualities you value, then just don't go down that path with her. It's a big red flag. And as a little side note, a stay-at-home mom, what could be more important than that? She's literally doing one of the most important jobs in the world. And homeschooling, as Christian men, maybe you're a family man already or you're going to be a family man, I would highly recommend you think about homeschooling, because traditional schools and just schools in general are teaching a bunch of nonsense right now, and not to mention things like school shootings. Homeschooling is an amazing gift that we can give our children. As Titus 2:3-5 explains, a traditional biblical woman is a powerful piece in the kingdom of God advancing. If she can't see that, move on and avoid her. She's not the one for you. And number 7, if she goes to a theologically liberal church and or listens to theologically liberal teachers. If she's willing to listen to teachers and sit under that type of leadership that's more concerned with pleasing the culture rather than sticking to biblical truth, then that says something about her, that's the type of person she is. And you don't want to link up with that type of person in marriage.
Hey, R. Payne.
Yes, sir.
He hasn't left no women. There's no women left.
Yep. That's what I was about to say.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Ray and David. Honestly, everything that he described, is that not the modern woman today?
Bingo.
Literally.
So
I'd say
literally,
there's six
No
of
one.
them. There's 6 of them out there traying the hip-hop. Good luck, bro.
Hey, Ray, and me and you got to fight over them, along
Facts.
with the other 3 million, 40 million other men. We got to fight over 6 women.
Trey, I would advise you to look in another country because this country's stock has been expired. Remember what I said about the dowry system? That man that proved my point without a shot of a doubt, clear cut. Remember I talked about the church? He nailed it on the coffin. So that being said, to all the women in the chat who like to speak all that bullshit, this man just hang your coffin up for you. To get to go in the coffin, hit the nail, and go to sleep. Deuces.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, but let me tell you this, guys, both of you, all of you, and Trey, you're right. One of the things that co-signs what this man said, because he made this video before that Harrison Buckner commencement speech, and the way all the women came out against him for exactly what he just said shows you that it's so widespread that women think that being mothers and nurturing children is an anathema to their existence compared to trying to compete with a man in a goddamn
But Payne, don't take my word for it. But Payne, don't take my word for it. There are a bunch of African American brothers who have already left the country and not only found one wife, they found 3 wives. So they're saying, screw y'all.
I know about the passport bros, but anyway, and other men who are blue book gentlemen or whatever they call themselves. But listen, this is what we have. So, Grace, you've been kind of quiet. Grace said, "Wait a minute, what are you talking about?"
No, I mean, I'm just listening to you guys because I have a son. He's 18. He's about to embark in college, and he's gonna live this life. I mean, he has a plan, but pussy can fuck all that shit up.
Yep.
I mean, and I tell him you gotta stay focused and strap it up. It's not that serious. The women are gonna be there.
Grace, I will suggest that he study abroad.
That he what?
Study abroad. Get
Well,
education outside the country.
But David, studying abroad doesn't mean that he's not gonna still want to have sex. He's still going to have sex.
I know.
And let's be honest. Women abroad tend to be a little bit easier in most cases.
Yeah, because they see him 6'4", tall, dark, and handsome, young. They'll see him as a meal ticket.
The point really is that he can't get any of them pregnant. That's the key.
Here's the thing, Grace. You coach basketball. When you showed up to the team and the team was trash, the first thing you have to do is you have to address with the team, why are y'all trash? You have to address it. You cannot treat the wound without addressing what type of wound it is.
Absolutely.
Have to deal with it. We have to deal with the fact, because somebody wrote in there that Asian women are the best. Well, statistically speaking, and according to all of the literature, he's right. We have to address it. And so the only way that things get better is we address it, and then we go from there. So I think the best thing you tell your son is, listen, I'm going to tell you, this is what you can expect from Asian women. It's what you can expect from Latin women. It's what you can expect from Indian women. It's what you can expect from Black women. And I want you to understand one thing. They all have one thing in common. And it's in between their legs. And regardless of where they from, they can fuck all this shit up. And so you have to stay head down, build your castle, put yourself in a position where you have the most leverage. Because that's what this game is about. It is about leverage. And women take the leverage from you after you get married and all that. Like you don't have no more leverage. You have to keep your leverage, and the only way to do that is to build the castle first. That is the number one focus. Build, build, build. You are a man. Trust me, I am 39 years old. I do not feel old. I run circles around in the gym. There are boys, the guys in there 21, 22, and I work out harder than they do. Trust me, you're not going to get old at 30 looking for a wife at 30. You'll be just fine, and you'll be stable. You'll have your home, you have your car, you'll have your career, you'll have your education. You will be prepared, and most importantly, you have the leverage now.
Now, Trey,
you have everything that she wants.
Now, Trey, I want to get you guys' reaction to this because somebody brought it up in the chat, and so I pulled it up. I got to add it to the show because the majority of people are talking about it. I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Check this out for a second.
I want to be pregnant.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
No. That wasn't real. That was not real. Please tell me that wasn't real.
Don't.
I want to be pregnant.
Hey, black man, do me a favor.
With a single mom.
Black, do me a favor. Play it one more time. I want y'all to pay attention right after she hands the paper. She looks over to the side. She's looking at somebody. Hey, play the video.
Oh, she thinks she got prompted?
Don't.
I want to be pregnant.
Yeah, I think somebody put her up to that.
That's terrible. Whoever did that needs to go to jail or something. I don't know.
That's the byproduct of black women. So, to Lady D, who have been long expired and her companion is a battery power idiot, keyword toy, you better shut the fuck up.
That's what they always say, but it's also we're the ones that y'all complained about leaving because we winning.
She called me a white girl. I'm like, look at your profile picture. You look more white than me. I don't get it. I don't get it. Know your history about Dominicans.
And here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Yeah, y'all just black people who speak Spanish.
Thank you.
We read the super chat here. We got a super chat for Kasim, $5. I said partner because it doesn't matter what the name of the relationship dynamic is labeled. To fortify the covering, the man has to be strong. So he's saying regardless of what you call it. But you know what, Kasim, we try to use words because words have meaning. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to keep perpetuating the word partner, even though I know you're in like a partnership.
But here the answer.
That's how they get you when you accept partnership right there.
Hey, Ray, you know when I was in the military, if you called a captain a lieutenant, that was a problem. And if you called a major a captain, that was a problem. If you called a general a colonel, that was a problem because they wanted to be addressed by the proper label. The proper label is not partner. I'm not your partner. Either I'm your significant other, your boyfriend, your fiance, your husband, or whatever the proper label is. But partner implies that you and I are on the same level somehow, in which we are not.
But Trey,
well, I want to say real quick, Black David, before because I'm trying not to come on the panel and attack people because I want you guys to have a great show. But I do want to say this. Tell me why. This is a question for everybody on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why women today who are maybe single, maybe must be old, like their 30s, late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. Why do they talk down on traditional values, the things that work? Why do they talk down on it if they're single and don't have a man?
Because women can't admit when they're wrong. And as these experiments are unfolding, they're not taking accountability for the results either. It's, oh, the men are the problem. Agreed. Who raised them? Oh, well, why are you eschewing the blame on us as though we're supposed to go find men in the streets and be like, come here, you little weak, effeminate, dysgenic fuck. Let me fix you, even though I didn't make your ass. And you grew up with this one woman who made you the way that you are and then released you into the world to be all women's problem. But it's our fault. That's why we're seeing the end of the end of an experiment, because like all these people are becoming adults, and now we're getting what we're getting culture wise, and the women are still going, well, the men, and it's like there's 10 of us left. There's 10 of us left. You made the rest of them. We can't fix that. Y'all got to make some more kids. Hand over your kids to the nearest stable man you can see, then give up custody to that dude. How about that? That's a solution. And then maybe a generation or two down the road, you'll have some more men to pick from. Because the ones you're picking from now, you made them. You made those men.
But they say that it's the men's fault because y'all are the ones making single babies, women single mothers.
Give up custody. That was an option.
Well, my rebuttal to that is you have 34 forms of contraceptives. A man only has 3. Okay. A woman can only get pregnant if you allow yourself to get pregnant. Okay. I would never forget what Takey, and shout out to my queen Takey, when she said those 10 seconds right before penetration, do you put a condom on? What do you do? You see what I'm saying? And most men are not gonna, if you don't teach them, like I've been talking to my son every day, strap it on. I know it's gonna feel good. I know it feels better. I get it. But 5 minutes of passion can cause you 18 years of heartache. It's not worth it. Don't use a female's condom. They like to put pinholes in them. Don't flush your shit when you're done. Or put it in your pocket. Don't leave it in the way. These are shit that I teach him. Because I tell him, I'm a woman. I know we ain't shit. I know we're very manipulative. And and I let him know straight up. Don't get caught up. But we don't teach our boys that. Yeah. We don't. We don't teach our boys that. I'll be damned if I'm going to be a grandmother to a hood rat. I know everybody going to get it. I'm going to go to the house. You're going to see me walking the fish. The dog going to be driving the car. She going to be everybody. And I'm going to get my grandbabies and I'm out. Because you're not finna mess up my grandbabies. I'm not.
Embrace the grace. Let me say this real quick as well. So I was looking up, I was watching Fox 12 News, guys. If you want to go to NBC 12news.com, the article name is, let's go back to the top, are one-night stands affecting birth rates in families. They say here in the article that we need to readjust numbers and percentages when it comes to deadbeat dads, because a large percentage of those men don't even know that they're fathers. Now, it also says here in the article, there's an online term known today called sperm jacking. Right? If you guys want to Google that, so you won't think I'm lying to you, it's called online. It's known as sperm jacking, meaning women will casually meet with men on one-night stands. Most of the men will use condoms, and the women will, after the men who have left or fallen asleep after the one-night stand, sperm jacking is them taking the condom and inserting the sperm inside of them and becoming pregnant.
Bruh.
Yeah, Drake had a great way of handling that problem.
Yeah,
put the hot sauce. Well, no. What you got to do is, and it's kind of nasty, but you just turn that motherfucker inside out and then shove your hand down into the trash in the kitchen. You got to take it to a different room where there's nasty.
Flush that shit in the toilet. Just flush it.
I have a better way, but it's explicit, and I don't want his channel to get
Right. I'll say this as well. It's the last thing, and I'm gonna stop here. It's not affecting just the 9 to 5 women. It's also affecting professional women. It says a Chicago doctor sued a female doctor he was having a one-night stand with, claiming she collected his sperm after oral sex.
What?
and
Wait, out the what?
after oral sex and used it to get pregnant. The court put it, his sperm was considered a gift. Listen, I'm reading it as it's on the article here. It said,
I'm stealing that. I'm stealing that. Hey, bro, these chicks about to get some gifts out here.
Wait. You're saying the court deemed his sperm a gift?
Yes, the court later ruled. The court later ruled in the woman's favor and ordered the man to pay child support because the court considered his sperm to be considered a gift.
Where was this at?
This was in, back up to the top. Hold on a second. Chicago.
No, bro, that place is hell. Don't even go to Chicago.
I'm gonna tell my son that bullshit tonight.
They need martial law in Chicago.
Facts. They need Batman. They need something. Chicago's terrible.
Well, you know what, black man, this is another thing to tell you.
Well, Trey, before you say that, because I want to make your blood pressure go a little higher. It says the judge told the male doctor, because they both are doctors. He told the male doctor whether the kid was born by fraud, essentially, or not. The child still needs support, and you will provide support for the child.
God.
Yeah, this takes protect your seed to a whole nother level,
bro. Yep. He said, yo, if she get it in her mouth, bro, you gotta choke her till she spit it all out. Just like with that line, you gotta dig in there and dig it all out, bro. Smear it on the floor. You gotta protect yourself, bro.
Embrace the grace. We consider my offer. Let him study abroad.
Yeah. Let him. He might want to go abroad, bro. Like that place that's terrible.
He's suing to his girlfriend right now.
Then tell him to take his girlfriend with him to abroad and study over there.
Yeah, they got to go somewhere outside this country, bro.
So basically, guys, if you're getting hit, the best thing to do when she come in her mouth, you punch her in the chest.
Shove a vacuum tube up in there, bro.
Yeah.
I respect your ambition, Willie, but you got to have vision.
I got vision. I ain't doing that.
Damn, I feel bad for y'all. Y'all are really fucked.
So I'll tell y'all what I do. I take the condom off, I tie a knot on it, and I put that bitch in my pocket and I take it with me. And I dispose of it at a location that is nowhere near her. That's what I would do. I'm serious. It may
put that shit in your pocket, bro.
It may sound but it may sound like it's extra, but I'm not taking a chance. And to Blackman's point about men.
I want to hear.
Hold on. To your point about you not knowing, men not knowing that they have kids, I can tell you for a fact I know that position, because the son that I thought was mine, when I found out he wasn't mine, the man who's actually his father doesn't know. He doesn't know. So this absolutely happens. That man is probably running around living his life, doesn't know he has a son in Maryland.
So let's use the celebrity guys, because everybody knows them. So we know last year was the year of exposure for Black mothers. So we know that Tyler Perry's mom lied.
Yep.
Real quick synopsis on that. For 40 years, his dad had beat the shit out of him his whole life, and then started beating his mom. But he had two older siblings that he never hit the mama. All of a sudden, when Tyler was born, he started beating the mama, started beating Tyler, drinking, became an alcoholic, and 40 years later, Tyler Perry goes to get a DNA test and finds out that man is not his father. Tyler says he's no longer going to hold that over that man's head. He will take care of that man for the rest of his life. He bought him a 30,000 square foot mansion, bought him a nice car, gave him a bank account with endless money for the rest of his life. Secondly, Kirk Franklin's mom babysitted her 15-year-old kid that she had sex with, got pregnant with Kirk, lied to him his entire life. His father was abusive. Kirk Franklin had to go to therapy to try to build a bond with this man that was never his father, and his mom lies to this day, even after 2 DNA tests were taken.
Facts. Yep.
Well, let's go to Bruce, the comedian. He was just on the Breakfast Club. He sat there in the chair and said, my mom for years told me my daddy was a deadbeat. My daddy wasn't shit. And I took all my mama's energy And I never spoke to my father until I got older and became my own man. And I sat down with him, and I know for a fact my mama ran him off, and I know for a fact that I'm not his son because my mama would say, your Uncle Earl here to fix the plumbing, and Uncle Earl will give me $20 to go to the corner store, which was 20 minutes away, while he fucked my mama. Last but not least, what's the guy's name? He was just on Club Shay Shay. Lavelle Crawford says his dad he was estranged from his dad, and as he became a millionaire, he said, "Listen, I want you to come to. I'm getting an award. I want you to come to the award show." His dad said, "Well, shit, you didn't give me." You know, they got into an argument. He said, "You better be glad I got you in my life because you was a fucking deadbeat." He said, "Son, I'm tired of your mouth. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you the truth. Your mama fucked a whole nother man, and you are his son. And you're not my son." He said, "You're 52 years old. It's time for you to know." So Lavelle Crawford found a private investigator behind his mama's back, found the man, texted the man, found out that the man that he thinking his daddy for the last 52 years was not his father. He found his real father, and the real father didn't even know he fucking existed as his son. So what I'm telling you is this is the year of exposure, and I think it's getting to a point where all men who are fathers, whether your wife's smiling in your face or not, you need to go get your goddamn kids tested. I think every man should go get their kids tested, and I guarantee you the numbers at that blood bank or the government numbers will skyrocket of the amount of kids that don't belong to these men. I'll rest my case, Your Honor.
And you don't need the mother to get the test, so she doesn't even have to know. She doesn't even have to know. You can just go get it done. Yeah, I mean, it's.
And they should make paternity tests mandatory before a man signs a birth certificate.
In New Jersey, I believe that's the case. Yeah. So
don't sign shit till we know that's your baby.
Yeah,
Y'all got real quiet. Y'all got real quiet. I would love to hear what y'all think about how these women are being, for years, men are being called deadbeat dads, and they don't even know they dads. Some of these women lay down with men in the backseat of a car. The man get a nut in 5 minutes. He never sees this woman again. She goes, get back on the plane, go back to the state she's from, and these kids never know who their fathers are.
Yep.
Like, what are we talking about?
Well, but that's not so far-fetched based on the quote-unquote, I guess we're reduced to mating patterns, right? And when I mean mating, I'm talking about the most primitive base thing that mammals do with each other is mate. And since nobody wants marriage, very few people want marriage, a lot of relationships are bullshit. People are just mating like we're animals in the field.
Yeah, but Mr. Payne, we have reasoning skills. We should know better. The difference between animals and humans is that we have inductive reasoning skills.
But let me
animals don't.
But Grace, listen to me. What I'm saying is, I know we're not animals like the lower forms. We're the apex predators. We are still subject to the laws of nature. In the absence of culture, in the absence of societal norms, in the absence of environmental ways that we deal with each other, whether it's a social construct or nothing, we're just fucking. Right? People are just fucking. I mean, people, boyfriend and girlfriend relationships, we can all say right now are just trash. Right? Because even if they're talking to each other and they even like each other, there's nobody really committed to each other. Right? You know what I'm saying? Until, so the real commitment, nobody really wants to do. And they don't really want to believe it for whatever reason, because they have good reasons. So right now, we're still having babies, even so the birth rates are going down, but we're having a lot of illegitimate kids because, and here's something, there's a tangential thing. A woman with a kid out of wedlock who hits the wall has a little slight different mentality than a woman who never had any kids at the wall, because she at least satisfied her biological imperative. And so she's a little bit more arrogant because she has the kid already. She has some legacy. The woman who blows her eggs and never gets there, I think she's going to be much more depressed in those days when there's nobody around and she don't have nobody to come visit her when she's in a hospital. You know, so I'm just saying. So there's a lot of little nuances there. But getting back to the point, I don't want to call us animals because we have the cognitive differences, but we are certainly mating like that. What's the difference between, you know? I mean, that's what's happening.
But our Payne, what's keeping humanity from tearing each other apart? Laws. My thing, if there was no laws, you got up in the morning, they say, you know, it's a free for all. You can take it, you can delete who you want to delete, you can take out who you want to take out. This world would flip upside down in 5 minutes. What I'm saying is, when a man does not pay his child support, he is going to jail. He is going to get a felony on his record. He is going to get his funds reduced out of his check. But I'm gonna tell you one that blew my mind. My barber does mobile cuts on Sundays. He came to my home yesterday and cut my hair. He said, bro, I had to park my mobile. I said, what happened to your mobile van? He got a nice Mercedes mobile van called Tuxedo Cuts, bro. Beautiful thing he did for mobile service. He said, bro, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't go back to the shop. He said, if I get found out, it's going to be trouble. I said, what happened? He said, man, I got a few payments behind on my child support. He said the state has revoked my renewance of my barber license.
Yep.
He said I can't get my barber license renewed. He said I can't get my license renewed or my registration on my car. So that means I'm driving illegally, I'm cutting illegally for child support. How the fuck can you get child support from the man if the man can't make a living?
Facts.
Are you fucking kidding?
Nope.
Bro, I'm gonna get pissed off. I'm gonna stop talking about it. Y'all go ahead.
Dude, that's the way it's set up though. Like that's what I'm saying. Like none of the stuff we do in this country, and that's the reason when I tell people when they talk about, oh, why do you have the opinions you have? I'm like, look at what's going on around us. What about any of the things that we have in place are pro-family, pro-citizen? Pro-citizen, because that's not something that's specifically done to black people. They do that to men, period. Everything in this system that we've made with the laws that we enforce, the laws that are enforced by men, are now somehow pivoted and jilted to punish men for the society that we made. And you wonder why.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of those laws are, you know, there's a lot of men still governing those laws and they're acquiescing to them, maybe for economic reasons like in the state court. But here's the real danger. I think that we know that we're really deep in there. Let me just finish. Okay. What we really start to see is when we start electing women to some of these, especially liberal women, to some of these like mayor and all that kind of stuff, you could kiss any real changes goodbye, because we're getting really more and more, you know, DEI centric, rainbow centric. Anything goes. I mean, you know, we'll be marrying dolphins in the next 10 years and shit like that. Right. You know, so I'm just telling you, it's not going to get better. But it's not better. And the army of simps is far greater than anybody really knows. I mean, I'm telling you, the army is huge. It dwarfs everybody who wants to be traditional, especially in terms of men. It just dwarfs. Yeah.
So let me say this real quick. Travel one, I just want to. I'm not going to go into, you know, bitch and all that tonight. I just don't feel it. But I will say this. It says, Travel one says, stop whining. The baby mama is watching your child morning, noon, and night. Stop whining, black men. I will say this. I would rather die and go to hell and play blackjack with the devil than to allow a bitch I'm no longer with to have my children. If me and my wife divorced today, there is an understanding that I don't give a fuck if I gotta sell a penis in a Volkswagen in Amsterdam. She will not get my children. My children will always be with me. And she understands if that happens, if we decide to not be with each other, it will be fucking World War III, annihilation, or whatever you want to call it. If you even wink that you think you're gonna take my kids from me. They will always be under me. I will always take care of them, and I would never ask you for a fucking dime. And I think all men need to have that. I think right now they're in states, Louisiana, Texas. I don't know about all the other states, but you can go. It's a civil matter. All you got to do is go pick your kids up and never take them back. And when the police come, they're going to say, this is a civil matter. Y'all got to take this up in court. Go get your fucking babies and don't take them back.
They also made a law, I don't know which state, but the Plan B pill has to be with a prescription now.
Yep.
It's no longer going to be over the counter. So they're making it even harder. Even harder now. And watch, other states are going to take heed to that.
But here what's really going on.
Oh,
with all
hey,
this
travel one. I will say this. I've been married for 14 years. I have 6 beautiful children, and I am still married. I understand that you're at home right now with a vibrator with low batteries, and you couldn't find one with a lithium battery. I want you to do is take that vibrator that has a low battery. I want you to put some Crisco oil on in your kitchen where you can't afford Crisco. Get some great value Crisco oil from Walmart, the vegetable oil kind. I want you to dip it inside of a mason jar, and I want you to shove the middle part of the battery that's left. I want you to shove that up in your ass, and then I want you to run full speed and jump on a broomstick and hope it hit your fucking heart where to trigger your mind to know that you're going to die alone. Buy a German Shepherd, bitch.
I'm out. I am out.
Holy shit. Remind me never to get on your bad side, BMU.
I thought I was bad. He went Undertaker.
So my God. You have something to say, Black David?
I was about to say, while this is going on, I don't think people really been noticing lately for the past couple of decades that a lot of men have been quietly migrating out of this country.
Mm-hmm.
There have been multiple group of people, especially black men, who have made their nest already outside quietly, and they have built community outside of this country. And a lot of these black women don't know is that they're doing highly successful. Some of them already burned their passport and say they ain't coming back, and they're doing well. So all this shenanigans you are doing, you're just proving a point, because when you don't have a strong army to defend your freedom, who will defend you?
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, you can keep up the shenanigans. I could care less. I already made my plan what I'm going to do in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that when I make, don't be
You're
surprised
married,
what
right?
happens. It'll be a whole different story. I'll explain to you in the back when the time comes. When I'm saying this, I'm not playing games. I'm not. I know what's going on in the pipeline way ahead of time. And I've been working my ass. That's why I haven't taken vacation over 25 years, because I'm not achieving that particular goal. I ain't got time for the BS. You want to play
All
this
right.
game with today's society? I could care less, because right now, what's going on outside these four walls of this country, people are being delusional about it. When
Mm-hmm.
the value of the dollar drop, record rate know this, what's going on. He know what's going
Dude,
on.
they just had 30 more countries. 30 more countries just joined BRICS, bro. It's over. Like I said, this it's over. Like, most of y'all are already on the wrong side of this shit, and you are just going to be poor, destitute slaves forever. Like, I personally don't give a shit. I'm happy for you. I'm gonna laugh. I think it's great. Because there have to be losers to make me feel better. So, but with that said, like, the consistent inability to pick your heads up out of the sand, remove them from your asses, and look at what's actually going on, it's going to get at you. And I'm like, we can talk about this however we want. Only 6% of black people, period, make over $100,000 or more, period. And out of that, black wealth, the median is 44,000. Y'all are poor even when you make money. You're gonna be enslaved forever. It's never y'all never left slavery. Congratulations. Like, and it's going to get worse.
And record trade, I know you've seen it. The African immigrant family is making way more than the African American family.
100%. 100%.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap up for tonight. We got thank you guys, everybody that came out for another episode of At the Black Men Unfiltered Network. Tonight, the name of the show was a collab, which I believe this show should be a show. However, Embrace the Pain is a good name for the show.
Embrace the pain.
It was an amazing show tonight, guys. You did a wonderful job. We're gonna let our host have the final words for tonight. Embrace has to go because she has to go make that bread, get that bag tonight. We love you, sis, and thank you guys for having this show. Again, y'all need to consider having this because you got an old married man and a woman that's young enough to get married again having a conversation. So,
so why you have to throw the word old in there? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm only joking. Listen, let me go first, Grace. I'll let you have the floor.
Absolutely.
No, so listen, I appreciate it. This was fun. I mean, obviously we got to do this again. It doesn't have to take place of our regular shows, but when we come up with something now, we got each other's emails. We can collab and come up with some juicy stuff to entertain folks on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. So it was a pleasure. And listen, I just think that is there a solution to all this? Well, it looks bleak, but I do have a video that I'm gonna make for one of my Monday shows where a man who's in his 40s said he found a woman who meets his 11-step criteria to be almost a perfect wife, right out of the Black community and right out of the good old US of A. So to counteract the fact that there's no good Black women out there, I'm going to be your Huckleberry to show you that there's at least one more. And with that, what's up, Grace? Go ahead.
Well, this was an awesome collab. This was an awesome show. And I know all the Black women are here claiming that I'm bashing y'all Black women. And I'm always talking about women in general. Is it more prevalent in the melanated community? Absolutely. But if it doesn't apply, let it fly. That's all you guys have to do, and stop getting so triggered and offended. And it's up to us older ones to teach the younger ones, because obviously the world that we're living in right now is a goddamn mess. These kids are lost in the sauce. They're lost in the sauce because they're growing up without a father. They're growing up in broken homes. They're growing up with bitter and miserable women and taking it out on the children and the dog. And it's not fair. I'm not saying stop having sex. I'm no saint. I'm not perfect, and I haven't done everything perfect, but I've tried to rectify everything in my life and make it right. Are you? Are you learning so you can do better, so you can be better, and you could be a better version of yourself? Or are you just in this chat talking shit and not trying to be a better person and teach the next person? I mean, I'm just saying. We were just talking about what is gender roles. It worked back then. Maybe not 100%, but it sure is better than what's going on now. I have a son, and I want him to pick a good choice. So with that being said, guys, don't forget to check us out tomorrow on 9:30 p.m. on Black Man's Unfiltered, Flipping Tables with co-host BMU. And Lit Wednesday night, you already know, JT What We Know podcast. And Friday night is the barbershop. Saturday night is Alexis. And Sunday night is grooming and reviews. And Mr. Bennett, we got something going on for you guys cooking in this kitchen 7 days a week. So come check us out. Don't forget to support the network. And don't forget to support all its content creators. And go to each show and press the like button. Share, subscribe, donate. We want to grow, and we want to grow so we can spread our message and talk more shit and teach people. So with that being said, BMU, thank you, Black David and BMU, for being awesome engineers and making this show run smooth. I love you guys. Thank you for embracing me. And Mr. Payne, I loved it. And absolutely, it would be an honor for me to collaborate with you again, either on your channel, my channel. It's all good. Peace out, guys.
All right.
Before we get out, as you've seen in the beginning, we did a tribute to the people who were lost in the military for today's holiday. So we wanted to reflect that in the beginning of the show, and we also here at Black Man Unfiltered Network want to also do it at the end of the show for the people that didn't get a chance to see it and who may have lost a family member. For Memorial Day, I did do something for you guys. If you didn't see it at the beginning, you will see it right after this. And again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, host, for hosting a great show tonight. You guys have a great show, and stay afterwards so you can see the memorial. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right.
While America took her stand in World War II, one particular group of aviators fought bravely and flew with distinction. They were known as the Tuskegee Airmen, and they were the first African-American pilots to fly in the history of the United States military. To stand out among their allies and enemies alike, they painted the tails of their P-51 Mustangs bright red, and from that point on, they would become known as the Red Tails.